You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on the day after the first and the day of the second and third rounds of the NFL draft? Back at it a mere 6 hours after we signed off from our 4-hour Twitch NFL draft broadcast extravaganza.
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 All right. I like it. I feel like I was just talking to you.
It's because you were. Miller and Moulton on this fine Friday. Hope you all enjoyed the draft, or however and wherever you took it all in. Plus, there were NBA playoffs and a few other things going on. How you holding up this morning?
I'll be fine until 10. Let's go. Adrenaline will just carry me through.
Are you sure?
And coffee. Strong doses of both, David, and we'll make it through this sucker.
For the record, how many cups / fairly big coffee containers do you bring into work?
I have 2 every morning. 2 big to-go cups of coffee and 1 big water.
Now, usually you do not partake in the coffee that is made here in this building.
Hardly ever.
Right. And you didn't when you and I worked here many, many years ago.
Tried not to.
Right. It's some places have good coffee.
Right.
You know, for those of you of a certain age, our coffee more resembles Barney Miller's coffee from back in the day. Right.
Yes.
It's not very good. It's not very good. Felipe, look up Jack Sue Barney Miller coffee. All right. First reference
assignment for the day.
Yes. Just, you want to know a bunch. It should be a string of coffee jokes.
And I'm just telling you, you might want to at some point just listen to the theme from Barney Miller, because you know what? In the 70s and 80s, we had great TV theme shows.
We did. A lot of saxophone.
Hell, I think the Welcome Back, Kotter was like number one, but it was like the number one song in the land for a while, or a top 10 song.
There were a lot of drug use in the 70s. A lot of drug use. I mean, there were a lot of things. We used to listen, A, to our music on AM radio, and B, there were instrumentals that were top 10. No words, just instrumentals for 4 minutes at a time on AM radio. And we would actually sit and listen to it, and we would tap our feet and snap our fingers. There's a reason that Ron and Nancy came a few years later and she said, just say no.
Does that explain why the music's so bad now?
Well, no.
I mean, because drugs are widely legal across this country now,
Well,
David.
that is true. Listen, this generation, Felipe and his generation, have to come up with their own theories as to why certain things are the way they are today.
Fair enough. Maybe the line of the morning, Fam Forever, says that I had a dream last night that the Jets and Lions did well in the NFL draft.
It's about time the percentages were in their favor, baby. How about that? Could the Jets have won the night? Did the Lions win the night?
Did the Eagles?
Yeah, I think the Eagles won the night. I think the Eagles won the night. And the other thing the Eagles did is the Eagles now have put Jalen Hurts on the clock. It's like, okay, you have no excuses. We got you an A.J. Brown, and we got you a Devontae Smith.
The 2 Alabama quarterbacks are in the same situation.
It's true. That's true. And meanwhile, Mac Jones is in New England going, hey, Bill, when are you going to get me some of them?
Aaron Rodgers is just sitting there staring blankly at the television screen going, are you kidding me?
I will give him a lot of credit. McAfee did a broadcast during the draft, just like we did, and he was on it. And he very calmly said, well, first off, I was given a heads up about a few players that they liked. And when the 6 wide receivers came off the board early, He goes, I thought there was a chance that this could happen, but then he did calmly say, take a look at our track record in the second and third rounds drafting wide receivers. And Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson, Devontae, all second-round picks. And so Aaron Rodgers towing the company line last night.
He was. And, I mean, you kind of have to when 6 receivers are already gone by the time they're getting close to a pick. Now, could they have gone after somebody and made a trade? I don't know.
Weren't like 4 drafted consecutively?
Let's see. It was 3 in a row, 4 out of 5.
4 or 5.
8, 10, 11, and 12 were receivers. And then 16 and 18. But the thing also that's interesting is about of those 6 receivers, 4 of them were acquired via trade.
Saints went up and made a trade. Lions went up and made a trade.
Philly went up. Well, they made 2 trades. They traded up at 13 and traded up at 15 and traded out at 18. We thought they'd trade up and trade back. Instead, they traded up and traded out. I kind of like the traded out. Didn't mess around. A 1 and a 3 for A.J. Brown, and then they signed him.
Love it.
And the Titans just simply said, listen, we tried to sign him. We tried really hard. We put what we felt was about as much money as we could put on the table, and he said no. So we felt we had no choice. Huh?
Okay.
All right. Business decision.
And while they didn't win the draft, they never, ever lose the draft. The Baltimore Ravens just sit there and get great players.
They didn't trade up for Jordan Davis, so they just simply took Kyle Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame. And then they traded Hollywood Brown for a first-round pick, and then trade back 2 spots and get Linderbaum, who will likely just come in and start for 10 years for him.
And Hollywood Brown has, you can blame this on Lamar, you can blame it on the offense, but he's never done a ton with the Ravens. And A.J. Brown was had for about the same thing. And yes, they paid him. And if they made this trade to rent Hollywood Brown, well, then that's more of a criticism of what Arizona's doing in the first place.
Well, I think when you make a deal like that, you give the leverage over to the player and you end up having to sign him. Now, they could end up franchise tagging him just to keep him around for another year, but why would you want to do that?
For the money that's going to cost
I
you
know
for
that.
Hollywood Brown?
I'm with you. Listen, I will say, is it ever good when your starting quarterback, while you're on the clock and you're making deals, sends out a tweet that simply says WTF? Because that's what Lamar did last night when they traded Hollywood Brown.
Lamar Jackson is a great follow on Twitter.
Well, unless you're the Baltimore Ravens.
Or their fan base. Oh, great. Our quarterback feels the same way we do.
So did the Ravens have a great day or did the Ravens lose the day? I'm still trying to get over the Vikings trade to the Lions. Doesn't make any sense to me why Minnesota had to be that generous, never mind to a division rival.
Well, their pick late in the draft, the what did they get? The
safety from
safety
Georgia.
From Georgia will forever be, as DC says, will be linked with Williams from Detroit now.
Very quietly, the Lions have put together a nice-looking offense. Take a look at who they have at receiver. They got Hawkinson at tight end.
They picked up DJ Chark from Jacksonville in the offseason.
Right. I mean, Jared Goff, he's not throwing to Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, but he's, for a team that's picking second overall, you go, well, they got receivers. And they should be able to score some points.
Another year for Sewell, the lineman who started really awkwardly.
Mm-hmm. So, interesting draft. The New York teams may have actually done well. 5 first-round picks between the Jets and the Giants. Jets trading back in to take a third first-rounder. It was an interesting night. It was a general manager's night.
And it was a Moulton night. There were a lot of trades.
Yes! Yeah, baby, yeah! I was 10 years ahead of my time when it comes to this. I may be 30 to 40 years behind the times technologically. I'm 10, 12, 15 years ahead of my time when it comes to the NFL.
I don't know if you love the NFL product the way that you once did for the style of play that's coming on, but the GMs have certainly come to your defense.
I have never been more qualified to be an NFL general manager than I am now.
100% correct, David.
I went from being a nut, an eccentric, a character in 2008, 2010, 2012, and now, I'm cutting edge. I'm just aggressive. That's all I am, Mark. I went from being, hey, make sure you serve him his dinner out on the porch. There's no need for him to be in the house while we're watching the game for Thanksgiving, to, hey, get him in here. Just seat him in between these two, but he's fun to have around.
Tell you what, I got to thank the Twitch audience for being there early this morning. It's like a badge of honor. They stayed till midnight last night, and they're up early this morning.
I know.
Pretty impressive for those of you that made it with us last night all the way through the draft, and for those of you that watched the entire draft last night and joining us this early. The text line, text the keyword FSN Radio to 21,000. FSN Radio to 21,000. Thanks for all your texts last night as well. Your thoughts on your team, the draft, how they did.
Yeah, we need to hear from you this morning. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Your reaction, by the way, don't say, well, I was reading. No. Not the beat writer's reaction. No, your gut feeling. How do you think your team did?
Patriot fan.
Yeah.
You guys know what this morning is, right?
Football Friday. Oh, it's coming from the guy wearing the Chris Paul jersey on the other side.
It's a Football Friday.
Well, Cole, strange things will happen.
Wow.
Well played. Well played. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals. The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You for listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I was thinking about something last night.
Uh-oh.
Could the Dolphins realistically could have I think they could have kept most of their picks and just rolled with where they were in the draft, and probably could have drafted Jameson Williams. Would that have been just as good as getting Tyreek Hill?
Well, first off, no, they couldn't have, because they made the deal the year before, so they ended up with the Niners' first-round pick, so their pick would have been, 29-30 range.
Oh. Okay, well, they could have traded a couple of their picks to
Well,
move up in the draft.
Well, unless you're dealing with the Vikings, you actually have to give up a lot to move up to where Jameson Williams was.
Right, good point.
Yes, Mark, during our broadcast last night, found Sean McVay's live reaction to the Patriots pick. Yes. Warren, I think Joe Douglas did a great job. Great job. Yeah, and Paul, we've always said that when teams make deals before the draft, when you sit down and people, I'm going to grade your draft. Well, you put Tyreek Hill in the draft. And the other picks that they gave up. I mean, you put those players in the draft. This is your 2022 draft.
And the Dolphins already extended him, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He got paid. We gave him a bag.
Well, listen, fam. If I'm Trubisky, I'm pissed. I really am.
Yeah.
Are you serious? And if you're Pittsburgh, I mean, why'd you sign Trubisky?
What a waste. Or, I mean, we'll see. I don't know.
Where does the NFL and NBA fall in the starting five? Hi. Thanks, Bob and Jake. Appreciate that. We try really hard. We really do. We put a lot into.
I have a couple friends that are Steelers fans, and they were all pissed off.
Yeah, you know what? Last night, reaction live. Most of the Steelers, right, Mark?
Not happy.
Most of the Steelers' reaction was not positive, and Steeler fans are lapdogs when it comes to that franchise. So that was interesting.
I think it's because they think Trubisky could be good, which he could be.
Also think they're not sold that Pickett. And I will say, when you've had a Hall of Fame quarterback, you're like, listen, I don't want to stake in a quarterback unless I can get somebody who can play like him. And nobody thinks Kenny Pickett can play like him.
I don't know.
Hey, RCB, if you're Tampa, don't you have to auction off 33? I mean, Nakobe Dean's a backup linebacker for you for a year. You got one more year with Tom Brady. Don't you have to select guys who are going to help you win this year?
This man better not come back for another season after this. This better be it. Damn.
If I'm Tampa, by the way, and I'm keeping the pick, I'm drafting like Logan Hall, defensive tackle. Mafe, the edge rusher, Minnesota. I'm drafting Kyle Gordon, the second corner from Washington. I'm drafting somebody who can help me right away. I got one more shot to win a Super Bowl, and then I'm not going to be close to a Super Bowl for a while.
Damn, by saying my Utah Jazz, are you implying that you are a Jazz fan? I don't think I've ever met one of those before. If you are a Jazz fan, I am so sorry. And frankly, I think the Jazz move on from Utah.
Well, fam, any age, I'll have the chance.
Come back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. 8 o'clock hour is when we'll have the guests. We'll just get the feeling from some people in Philadelphia and Baltimore. A couple of franchises who, well, Baltimore went into the draft with 1 first-round pick, came out of it with 2. Philadelphia came into the draft with 2 first-round picks, came out of it with 1.
And the number 1 receiver.
I love what the Eagles have done last 2 years. Traded up aggressively, got ahead of the Giants to take Devontae Smith away from a division rival. And then in this draft, they traded up 2 spots to take Jordan Davis away from the Ravens. And then spent a first and a third, but for a number 1 receiver in his young prime, yet to get to his second contract. That's how you use draft picks.
A first and a third for an absolute stud.
Of a 1 who's in his mid-20s.
Right.
Yeah, that's...
Go tackle him all day. Have fun.
Devontae Smith now gets single coverage for the next 5 years. I'm not kidding when I say that the front office has now set it up. It's real simple. You'll find out this year if Jalen Hurts is the guy. There will be no excuses. None. It's not like the guys aren't going to be open.
No. And they've got a tight end, too.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, they got 2 receivers and a legit tight end. They're offensively, they have everything that the quarterback should need.
Kelsey comes back for another year, even at center. I mean, you know, I will say it's tough for me to keep track. I think the Eagles have 51 in the second round.
Hang on. Yes, they do.
And I think they have 101, a compensatory third.
No, the Jags now have that.
Oh, they traded that away?
Yes.
Okay.
But they have 83 in the third, David.
I thought that was the one they gave up to Tennessee for the 1 and the 3. So tough to keep track. But this is why you acquire them draft picks. Use them. And use them on terrific players. I don't know how you can be upset about that. One team just did it, won the Super Bowl, for goodness sakes. They're throwing a draft party for 2 days. By the time the Rams select at 104, they're going to make that pick drunk. They will have been partying for 2 days. So who don't we like, by the way? Who don't we like coming out of this draft in which we're like, man, what in the world were they thinking? Can I question the first overall pick of the draft?
Absolutely.
I mean, this guy had 6 sacks last year. You're drafting a guy and you're saying he's going to be more productive on Sundays than he's been on Saturdays. Now, you could argue he was on a great defense, which, by the way, I think historically now we're going to have to talk about the 2021 Georgia defense. They did have 5 first-round picks off of the same side of the ball. That's never happened for a defensive team before. You know, modern stats are different. Modern yards are different. And yeah, Alabama got them the one game. Absolutely, they did. They came back in the title game. Bama receivers got hurt, but, you know, they shut them down. They got their revenge. 5 first-round picks. And that doesn't even include Nakobe Dean, who's going to go here.
In the first 5 picks of the second round.
Right, between 7 and 8 o'clock tonight.
Right.
But
if I were to point my finger at a team, and we don't know what the offers were, and he could be a really nice player, but Carolina at 6 without having anything in the second and third round, when the tackles hadn't gone yet, to not be, I'm sure they tried, but this is where if they took a Vikings-like trade, David, and lost a little bit of draft capital to earn a second round. I believe they need the players. I would have been able to give them a slight pass if the points don't add up for a Carolina trade. But again, we don't know what they were offered. Atlanta. How do you not look at Atlanta taking a receiver and just laugh at that?
Well, we had Mark Zinno on yesterday in which he said, let me tell you, there's what I want them to do and what they will do. And if they do what we think they're going to do, which is take a receiver, I think that's the most ridiculous thing you can do. Now, Atlanta does have a chance, however, early second round. Don't they have 2 high second round picks? Well, they got 43 and 58. I mean, do they maneuver? They also have 2 third-round picks at 74 and 82. If you're Atlanta, do you tackle quarterback here early second round? I mean, there was a draft 10 years ago in which Andy Dalton and Colin Kaepernick both went within the first 6 picks of the second round. Hey, say whatever you want. I mean, one guy took a team to a Super Bowl. The other guy took a team to the playoffs about 5 times. I mean, that's pretty good for like the 36th, 38th overall picks. I mean, right now you don't have a quarterback, and I say, hey, I can get you a quarterback early second round, take you to the playoffs 5 times the next 8 years. What do you say? You'd go, well, hell, I don't even know who he is. Take him.
There's no doubt.
Sounds pretty good to me.
There's no doubt. But they're going to have to do something to make up for what happened.
Well, also was the receiver that they chose. I mean, this is because he's coming off an injury, and there's questions about just how fast is he. You know, Atlanta didn't take Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jamison Williams, 3 players who can all run.
Who are all in the same wide receiver room until one of them transferred, along with the number 1 wide receiver projected for next year's draft.
You know who I want to draft next year? I want to draft a couple of Ohio State corners who have been practicing against these receivers for a couple of years, in which I just want to hear a DB coach go, and he held his own. Good enough for me.
Right. I don't care about the game tape. How did he do in practice?
You know what? He won more than he lost. Sounds good. Thanks, coach.
I do think all of the jokes about Sauce were fun. He's Sauce in New York. He's Gravy in New Jersey.
Well played. Well played. Getting back to Carolina for a second, I think they caught a bad break because I think they needed someone on the board that people actually wanted to trade up for. Either corner, I think, could have gotten them some action at 6, Stingley or Sauce. They were both gone. Thibodeau, I think, was the pass rusher. That if the Giants hadn't taken him at 5, if the Giants had gone tackle at 5, I think Thibodeau gets Carolina's phone to ring. So I think Carolina, this fell about as badly as I think it could. The 3 edges and the 2 corners were the first 5 picks. Very rarely are teams wanting to trade up for a tackle. Good tackles, but not Jonathan Ogden, Orlando Pace tackles either. At least we don't think so.
No. Because no one really knew who the number 1 tackle was. I mean, if you go into a draft, there's 3 guys and no one's really sure who the number 1 is. There's no Orlando Pace in the draft.
And if you're in the preteens and teens, you're like, well, the run on the receivers hasn't started yet, so I can chill out. I don't need to give up what I need to give up to move to 6.
But boy, when it started, did it ever start?
Yeah, Atlanta took a wide receiver, and it was like, okay, Seattle's not going to take one, but after that, game on.
And both the Lions and Saints moving up to get their guy.
How about the Lions able to get Jamison Williams, the 4th wide receiver taken? Jamison Williams. That's pretty damn good.
Most people had him as their number 1 receiver, obviously the injury. Miller and Moulton.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
David, you made a great point. Devontae Smith getting single coverage for the next 4 years.
5.
5.
Yeah.
Poison.
Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck with that one.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, Stingley couldn't cover him in college. And I mean, couldn't cover him. And I love Stingley, but he had nothing for Devontae Smith.
Man. What a time to be an Eagles fan.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. You're right.
Nobody won any games yesterday.
That is fair.
I'll tell you
fair
what,
point.
though. If you're a Lions fan, you got to be.
You know, they found that Saint whatever, the guy at the end of the year there that was catching the
Yes.
slot guy, St. Brown.
St. Brown. Great fantasy pickup.
He was. But, I mean, he's your slot guy now with an elite. I mean, they've got 4 guys that can catch the ball.
And they have DeAndre Swift.
All right. Lions have picked 46 and picked 97 today. I mean, if you're Detroit, you like a quarterback?
Malik Willis. Still there.
Well, or Ritter.
Yeah. I'm just saying. Do you like a quarterback?
Wow. Malik Willis.
Houston would trade with you at 37.
You think 46 and 97?
I don't know.
I think it would to move up. What's that? 9 spots? Yeah.
You know, or 10. I think I don't know if the Giants move, but I think Houston would move. Now, I think the Titans are getting the guy you talked about yesterday. They're not going. You might have to call the Vikings back up and move, which they wouldn't take it.
It's Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Tennessee, the Giants. First 4 teams. And then Houston, right? 37. I think the Giants, by the way, would take it.
By the way, who does Tampa take?
Do they trade out?
unless they think a lot, unless they really like that Colorado State tight end, but they could drop back with Detroit and probably get him.
I don't think the Vikings can trade with the Lions again and reacquire one of their own picks back. You're moving down 12 spots again. So let me get this straight. You made a deal with them in which you moved down 20 picks in the first round. Now you're going to make a trade with them in which the 12 spots you gained in the second round, you're going to give back up, and you're going to do it all for pick 97. So you will have done, think about it. If you make that deal, if you're the Vikings, well, I'll say this. You could argue it this way. If the Vikings were to make the deal that we proposed, you allow the Lions to move up to 34 to take their quarterback. The Vikings will have used the 12th pick of the draft to have acquired picks 32, 46, 66, and 97.
46 was theirs to begin with.
Well, that's true. So you will have used the 12th pick, the 12th pick of the draft to have acquired 32, 66, and 97. So 2/3 and a late first rounder for number 12. Now, and not only that, you will have helped the division rival twice.
We're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us.
We'll probably have to get a poll question up at some point, but we do have a couple of texts already. And I love Dolphin, who's first-time texter. I'm excited for the Dolphins. I can't wait for the Miami Heat to destroy Philly. The Dolphins didn't even do anything, and he's excited.
That's why he's excited.
Someone mentioned that in the Twitch chat earlier. If they don't have a pick to mess it up, they don't mess anything up.
This listener says, as a Jets fan, I've never been so excited after the first round. We drafted like a real football team. But years of disappointment still leave me feeling a little skeptical. I got you. I hear you, my man.
Jets came away with Sauce Gardner at 4, Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State at 10, and then moved up, what was it, about 8-9 spots back into the first round, used their early second rounder and another third rounder to take the Florida State defensive end, Jermaine Johnson, who, by the way, was at Georgia, transferred to Florida State just for the 1 year. He could have been a part of that Georgia defense. Don't know how much he would have played. He would have played. He would have been a rotational player. But that's just an idea how much talent Kirby had on that side of the ball. 5 first-round picks. Dean isn't one of them, and one of the guys who did go in the first round was with you just a year ago. It's like the Ohio State wide receivers room. Right. Damn. Without further ado.
The starting 5. 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
10 trades, 12 players from the SEC, no running back, no tight end, just one quarterback. Some of the highlights from the first round of the 2022 NFL Draft. First 5 players selected, all on defense. That hadn't happened in a really long time. 5 defensive players from Georgia. That's a record. Never before had a team put 5 first-rounders from defense in the NFL draft in the first round. Jacksonville went with Trayvon Walker after all. Green Bay went defense with both first-round picks, so 20 years and counting since they've taken a wide receiver in the first round. Tampa Bay traded out, so they did not make a first-round selection. Of course, the Dolphins don't have a pick until 102, late tonight. Baltimore traded Hollywood Brown to Arizona for a first-round pick. The Titans with the blockbuster trading A.J. Brown to the Eagles for a first and a third. Ladies and gentlemen, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock between now and 7 o'clock. Oh, yeah, very quietly, the NFL announced during the draft that the very first Thursday night football game on Amazon Prime will be Chargers at Chiefs.
Who you like?
That's a first act joke. I asked Mark that one time, Chiefs, Chargers, who do you like? And he answered it very quick.
Chargers.
And I went, are you sure? And he looked at me like, you asked me the question, idiot. Yeah. So then I got a little revenge a couple years later when he asked me.
Well, actually, it was our producer asked you. The Kevin Love.
Blake Griffin.
Blake Griffin.
And I said Kevin Durant.
Still the right answer.
Yes.
It was the right answer then. It's the right answer now.
Going to be a lot of AFC West games in prime time between NBC, ABC, and Amazon Prime. You're going to see a lot of the AFC West.
A lot of those 2:30 wake-ups, David.
A lot of those 425 games on either CBS or Fox are also going to be AFC West. Get used to it. NBA last night. It was a good night for Philadelphia sports, huh?
Really was. They got that sucker done with early enough that the fans could all turn and switch and watch the draft. I mean, they not only won, but they did everything in a timely fashion for their fan base.
Well, the game started really early, so, it's a 1-point game at the half. Okay, we'll turn on the draft, although, let's go back to the basketball because, our Eagles aren't drafting for a little while. And then, Mark, in the second half, Philly outscored Toronto 70-36. That'll get it done. Embiid at 33. And he was taunting the Raptors fans who had been taunting him. Philly won by 35. They win the series in 6. Sixers and Heat, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Starts Monday in Miami. Phoenix eliminated New Orleans. Chris Paul was perfect, literally. Similar to the Leitner game.
He went all Leitner on us?
Well, Leitner against Kentucky in that famous game from 30 years ago was 10 of 10 from the field, including a 3, and 10 of 10 from the line for 31, including the game winner. Chris Paul last night was 14 for 14 from the field, one of them a 3, and 4 of 4 from the line. Added up, it's 33 points. Never before been done with that many shots in NBA playoff history.
2 words, David. Point God.
Phoenix 115-109. They eliminate the Pelicans in 6. Next up for them, Dallas.
Philly, when they eliminate that point guard position, you're really going to be onto something there.
Never.
Dallas came from behind. They trailed by 12 at the half. Beat Utah. Eliminated the Jazz in 6, 98-96. Luka's first ever trip out of the first round. So the 3 road teams all won and all covered and all sent their opponents home for the season. Just 1 first-round series left in the NBA. Memphis at Minnesota tonight at the Target Center. T-Wolves getting a point at home. Can somebody force a game 7? NHL, regular season ends tonight, except for one makeup game on Sunday. It's like Winnipeg and somebody just, playing a game to get
to get a gate.
Right. But the season ends tonight. Tampa lost last night to Columbus 5-2, and with Boston shutting out Buffalo 5-0, it means the Lightning are only a point ahead of the Bruins. The significance is one of them will be in third place and face Toronto in the first round of the playoffs, and the other will be a wild card team and will face Carolina. Who would you rather play, Toronto or Carolina?
Carolina?
I agree. Boston, by the way, is at Toronto tonight. Be curious how hard either team plays. Boston loses, they make sure they play Carolina. Toronto may want to lay down so Boston can win so they don't have to face the Lightning. Let's be honest. Who wants to play Tampa?
And no one will lay down, but it's interesting what goaltenders they play. There's a lot, how the lineup looks.
Yeah, you play your backup goalie, you keep 6 to 8 regulars out. Totally. Panthers beat Ottawa 4-0, officially clinching the President's Cup, which means they have the best record in the league. Florida's never had this before. They have home ice in every series that they're around for. Congratulations.
Let's see how many series they're around for.
Well, and Florida knows at this point they're going to play either Pittsburgh or Washington. Washington had a game in hand on the Penguins and blew it last night, losing to the Islanders 5-1. So
Ovechkin got hurt, and Washington hasn't won since.
No, they've hardly scored since. And Ovechkin's up in the air for game 1 of the playoffs. The Capitals, a point behind the Penguins. Whoever finishes third will face the Rangers. Whoever finishes fourth will face the Panthers in the first round. See, this is a case where you really want to finish third. So you could see where Boston doesn't want to finish third, but you really want to play the Rangers. You don't want to play the Panthers.
No.
Pittsburgh's Washington's at the Rangers tonight, actually. So that'll be interesting. Minnesota, they beat Calgary 3-2 in overtime. They're 2 points ahead of the Blues. They host Colorado tonight. If they get a point, they'll clinch second. Minnesota and St. Louis are going to face each other in the first round. It's just a matter of who has home ice. Colorado lost in a shootout 5-4, but Nashville beat them. They're a point ahead of Dallas for the first wild card. The loser will be the second wild card. Nashville needs a point tonight to be the first wild card. That means you don't have to play Colorado if you're the first wild card, so that's kind of a big deal. Edmonton clinched second, and they'll have home ice in their first round series against the LA Kings. Edmonton a winner in overtime, while the Kings were a loser in overtime. Sets New Jersey Devils at the 5th worst record in the league, and they lost to Carolina 6-3. Panthers end the season in Montreal tonight. We mentioned Tampa Bay's in Long Island to face the Islanders. Playoffs start Monday. Pittsburgh, by the way, hosts Columbus. So you got to say edge right now for the Penguins to get the necessary points to play the Rangers. Baseball from yesterday, Rays beat Seattle 2-1 to win that series. Give it up to the Marlins. Won 5 in a row. Swept Washington 3-2. Nats have lost 8 straight. Between the Orioles and the Nats, 2 teams separated by about a half an hour. You could see about 225 losses between those 2 teams. You could see about 100 wins and 220 plus losses.
Yes.
Because think about it, if
first off, Baltimore's division. Sorry, David, but Baltimore's division in and of itself, they're 52 and 110.
Well, and the Nats clearly look to be the worst team in the NL East. The NL East looks like they've got three good
Three
teams
good
and the
teams.
Marlins.
Right.
Hey, the Marlins have won a series against each team in the NL East this year so far.
Haven't played the Rangers. Haven't played the Mets. But okay, for our daily update, Padres 7, Reds 5.
Where are you going to go?
Padres sweep the season series from the Reds, 6 spit. The Reds were 2-2 when their president and COO said,
Where are you going to go?
well, the Reds are going to the bottom. They've lost 14 of 15 ever since he uttered those famous words. They are 3-16 on the season. They have to play 500 ball the rest of the way just to win the over in the over-under. So I hope if you bet over-under on Reds, you went under. Brewers swept the Pirates by scoring 2 in the ninth, 3-2. Yankees have won 6 in a row. They swept the Orioles 10-5. Judge a 3-run homer. He's homered 4 times in his last 6 games. Phillies swept the 4-gamer from the Rockies 7-1. Colorado coming back down to earth. White Sox have lost 9 of 10. Royals beat them in 10, 5-2. Hey, give it up for the Twins. They've won 7 in a row. Tigers, meanwhile, have lost 5 in a row. Minnesota 7-1. Toronto took 3 of 4 from the Red Sox, 1-0 the final. Braves activated Ronald Acuna Jr. yesterday. He went 1 for 5, stole 2 bases, was robbed of a second hit. So that's good news for the Braves. Kyle Wright improved to 3-0 with 7 innings of 1-run ball. Give it up for the Angels. They're in first in the West by a game and a half over the Mariners. They swept the Guardians 4-1. LA's won 5 in a row. Cleveland's lost 7 in a row. Got swept by the Yankees and Angels back-to-back. Cardinals over Arizona 8-3. Arenado suspended 2 games for losing his mind on Wednesday against the Mets. And Kyle Tucker, a 2-run pinch hit homer in the 8th for Houston, made Verlander a winner 3-2 over Texas. Mexico Open on the PGA Tour, 6-way tie for the lead. Thank you very much. John Rahm, one of those at 7 under. Getting ready for the PGA. It's time for the big boys, Mark, to be the big boys. John Rahm, DJ, Koepka, Rory. Come on, guys. Come on. Season started. Let's get this thing in gear. 4 golfers are 1 back, 10 golfers are 2 back. And that was the starting 5. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Canada?
Canada. They're the Sens team. Toronto, Rochester, and Cleveland.
Yeah, Binghamton doesn't have one anymore. If I'm the Pelicans, I'm trading Zion. Zion's going to want big money because he's Zion. And he's a year away from free agency. And you have two choices if you're the Pelicans. You bring him back next year, hope he stays healthy, plays hard, wants to be part of the team, the whole deal. All the while he could walk on you. Or you trade him now, get a decent haul. You got the Lakers' first-round pick this year, don't you? New Orleans? I think they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Via Anthony Davis.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And you trade Zion, and you got a good thing going right now. The guys like being there. McCollum's thrilled to be there.
Yeah. Zion for Julius Randle.
Knicks would make that deal just to get Randle off the books.
And to get
I'm
Zion
telling you,
on the books.
Randle's going to Dallas in a sign and trade for Brunson. Because if you're Dallas, you can't spend that much money on the point guard position. I mean, what? Brunson's going to sign
Brunson's gone.
21 million. His contract and Randle's contract will match really well. And if you're Dallas, you can't be spending 40 on Luka and 20 on Brunson.
It's so messed up, though, because you kind of hate to see Brunson go. Because for a moment, it's like, oh, wow, they're building a backcourt. But no, he's playing well so that he can I'm not saying that he's playing well so he can get paid, but he kind of is in a sense. But good for him. I think he averaged like 24 a game in that series against Utah. Zion just needs to go to the Knicks already.
If you're the Knicks, would you sign Mitchell Robinson and do a sign and trade with New Orleans for Zion? New Orleans would want more than that, but Mitchell Robinson's from New Orleans.
Yeah, and then you just draft a center.
Well, they already drafted Jericho Sims last year in the second round. He played well.
Mm-hmm.
The thought is, by the way, Detroit really wants Mitchell Robinson.
Ben Volen. Yesterday, we listed our ideal draft for the Patriots. We all missed the trade down and take a third-round guard from Chattanooga.
Yeah, was that just stupid, or does Bill Belichick know something that we don't? I was very confused by that.
Well, the other thing is that you looked at him did he really think he couldn't get this guy at 54?
All right, at some point we have to do the Isaiah Wong story from last night.
Yes, that's a big story, actually.
Want to do it at 21?
Yeah.
5 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the 7 o'clock hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? How'd your team do in the draft? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Text us. Let us know what's on your mind. FSN Radio. It's the keyword, all one word. FSN Radio. Text it to 21,000, 21000. If you've texted before, you know the drill. Let us know. How do you think your team did? Simple as that. It's okay, by the way, not to like it. I mean, if you're a Patriots fan.
I know you can't ever question the guy. He did take a guard that had a 3rd-round grade on him with the 1st-round pick.
Now, listen, it's happened before. What was it, about 10 or so years ago? The Cowboys took a center in the 1st round, and everybody went, what the? And he, did fine for 8 years. He was a good pick. And everybody said they could have got him in the 3rd round. Well, they took him in the 1st. He started 8 years for him. Don't know what to tell you. But, yeah, it did lead to one of the best tweets of the night, though. Players drafted from the volunteer state.
Right.
Vanderbilt, none. Tennessee, none. Tennessee, Chattanooga, 1.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The Bucks are on the clock.
Yes, they
They
are.
have the 1st pick of the 2nd round. It goes Bucks, Vikings, Titans, Giants to start things off at 7 bells tonight. We will not be doing a 2nd and 3rd round Twitch show.
No, we won't. Did we do it the 1 year?
I think we did it once.
First time. First time in our 2nd act. We did it the 1st year. But, all right, you tell me, by the way, very quickly. Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Tennessee, the Giants, Houston. Any of those 5 take a quarterback?
Well, David, the way you've beat me down for 4 days with Tennessee, if they don't take a quarterback, I'll feel like something's going wrong in the draft.
Well, I will wonder what in the wide world of sports is going on. They're in position to take Ritter, that's for sure. But then again, somebody could trade ahead of them. The Giants did deny the 5th-year option on Daniel Jones yesterday. And basically saying to him, rent, don't buy. We're only leasing you, just so you know. Final year of the lease agreement. We'll have an option at the end of the year to buy you.
Perhaps.
But right now, we're not inclined to do so. So, and for those wondering, I believe Baker Mayfield will be traded between the 3rd and 4th rounds. That his salary figure of $19 million, there doesn't seem to be many starting jobs that are out there, that I think Baker Mayfield will be a strategic, high-level backup quarterback for somebody for a year. So I would expect it to be a team that actually believes they're a championship contender. But if their starter were to get hurt, they're cooked. And to me, that's Dallas, Tampa Bay, teams like that. I mean, Cooper Rush and Blaine Gabbert are the backups for Dallas and Tampa Bay, and they both think they're Super Bowl contenders. Well, that ain't going to get it done.
Couple of texts here, David. First off, we have a Pittsburgh fan asking what we think of Pickett to the Steelers.
I don't understand the Trubisky signing. Remember, the Steelers were all over the quarterbacks at the Senior Bowl. So then 6 weeks later, they signed Trubisky quickly in free agency. I don't get it.
Unless Rudolph's done and Trubisky's going to be your starter and Pickett's going to be there to learn.
Well, I've never believed all their bluff about Mason Rudolph. But so Trubisky's your placeholder. See, I saw Mariota as a placeholder in Atlanta. I didn't necessarily see Trubisky as a placeholder. I saw them signing Trubisky going, this could be the guy.
And it could be. Why not have 2 there? I know it's a first-round guy and you have to play him. I get it. I don't like the pick. I think they're trying to make up for mistakes from 30, 40 years ago. And 40 years ago. I don't understand it.
I would have drafted an offensive lineman if I was the Steelers at 20. And the one I was pounding the table for was Linderbaum, the center.
I believe this is a Vikings fan that simply just says the Raiders had a better bleeping day than the Vikings.
And, of course, the Raiders didn't do anything yesterday because, well, they didn't have a pick.
And our first fan after just one night of the draft, Eagles are winning the NFC East and the Super Bowl. Fly, Eagles, fly. That's drinking the Kool-Aid, David.
Well, they won 9 games last year, but they won 7 of their last 10. They were 2-5, finished 9-8. Now, they only beat one team with a winning record. That was the non-playoff 9-8 Saints. That's why Philly made it and the Saints didn't. So clearly, while the Eagles made the playoffs and were a winning team, they still have 2-3 levels more where they got to go. And so they went and got impact players. Jordan Davis, big man who can run.
It's a large human right there.
Fletcher Cox is going to look at him and say, "You're a big dude, and I'm a big dude. Nice to have you on our side." And then, of course, A.J. Brown. Yeah, listen, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I think Pat Kerwin's going to owe me another apology. All right? Diva wide receivers. That's the ticket. Devontae, Tyreek, A.J. Brown. You got to have one of those. It's better to have a Joe Burrow. But if you can't have a Joe Burrow, you got to find me a number 1 receiver.
I don't even think of Tyreek and AJ as divas, but they're definitely number 1s.
And they're not, but you know what I mean.
No.
See, diva receiver screams number 1. Not a 1A, not a really good 2. No. A dog.
I don't know. I think Tyreek's a diva.
Oh, I think Tyreek's a diva.
The peace signs? Come on.
I think, and Devontae's got a little bit of it in him too. AJ doesn't. They're going to love him in Philadelphia. Oh, my goodness. They're going to love him, and he is going to love them. And since he's their best wide receiver since T.O., we can say he's going to love me some me.
I do like it, a T.O. for an AJ.
Yep.
And they will, because he plays so physical.
Yeah, right.
He's not afraid to block.
No.
Not afraid to take a corner and just run him the over.
Correct.
I can't believe they won the Super Bowl with Alshon Jeffrey being their best wide receiver.
Yeah. That's why that head coach is in Jacksonville now.
Yeah.
Got a job. Right. So.
And Matthew on Facebook chimes in and says, what about Rodgers' comments after picking defense? I'm okay with it as long as we get wide receiver help via the draft or trades. Hey, we thought Rodgers towed the company line perfectly. Said he was tipped off as to who the guys they liked were. 6 receivers came off the board. Not at all surprised at how the team went, and then pointed out all the great second-round receivers that they've taken in the past.
He's thrown to them all. Craig Jennings, Jordy Nelson, Devontae, so he should know. He should know.
But a couple of second-round picks for Green Bay.
Packers are on the clock at 53 and 59. Don't know if Christian Watson and others will slide to them. The Sky receiver there. Don't know if he slides to him at 53. Besides, he's a little slot guy. But we do have an Eagles fan on Twitch saying I'm an Eagles fan, and even I'm saying pump the brakes. Now, we're not saying you're a Super Bowl team.
Well, that's the texter said they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
No, you're right, fam. You're right. You're not a Super Bowl team. But you think you can beat the Cowboys and win the East?
And I will say, just a quick glance at the schedule, just the crossovers. AFC South, NFC North. That means Lions and Bears.
And Vikings also.
That means Jags and Texans. I get the Cowboys are going to play them, but When you're trying to stack up wins for a wild card spot, if you don't win the division, you're putting yourself, the schedule makers put yourself in a spot where it can be.
Well, and the other thing is they have 2 first-round picks in next year's draft, and their general manager has shown he's very aggressive. So if they decide Jalen Hurts is not the answer, who's to say they won't take their 2 first-round picks next year, throw in their first-round pick in 24, and offer some team 3 first-round picks to move up and take a quarterback in what is expected to be a good quarterback draft class. 2 studs in Stroud and the Alabama kid, Bryce Young. I mean, like 2 top 5 picks, studs at quarterback, never mind anybody else. So Eagles well positioned here for this year and next. And Jordan Davis is going to replace Fletcher Cox. He's not going to be as good as Fletcher Cox, in my opinion, because Cox could get pressure on the passer. I mean, Cox would get you 8 to 10 sacks from the defensive tackle position. Those guys are rare. But, you know, Cox is nearing the end, and he's expensive, so I could see one more year of Fletcher, and then Davis moves in and what have you.
But it makes the middle of that defensive front a son of a gun next year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Cowboys want to line up and run Zeke, and they can put Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis right over the middle gaps and say, I dare you.
Well, and quarterbacks love getting pressure up the middle with 2 guys that can get after you. That doesn't disrupt things at all. I mean,
if Jordan Davis turns into Vita Vea,
right?
You're the Eagles. You take that, don't you? I would. So
we're going to switch gears when we come back.
Oh, are we ever? But this story may be every bit as sexy as the draft.
I think it's sexier. This was breaking last night, happening in real time. If you were with us for our draft coverage, you know, you heard us talk about it. If you did not, it is what college sports has become very, very quickly. And it is something else. If you've never texted the show, text the keyword FSN Radio, all one word, to 21,000. Once you've done that, once you are in, text us what you think about your team, their draft, and what they did. If you've not done so yet, follow us to Twitch, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. You skip a lot of the commercials, and you can have a little back and forth with both David and I during the commercial breaks.
I'll tell you what, not many players crying last night. They all have that NIL bag already.
I think Kenny Pickett's still crying.
Yeah, he's
who's
emotional.
Not? His girlfriend.
Right.
For a moment, she thought she was going to Detroit. That's when she was crying.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening. Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
We're at 808, baby. 808 Mafia. 808 followers. Wow.
Yeah, but believe it or not, we needed like 80 plus followers picked up, and we picked up like 20.
I will say, last night was an eye-opening experience for the Miller and Moulton faithful. I was like, wow.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? We've done this. We've done this for 4 straight years.
but like
it was an eye-opening experience for you.
For me.
Yeah, it really wasn't for any of them.
I know, but I was
they've
like,
been doing this with us for 4 years too.
I was like, damn, these boys really loyal. Made me so happy.
Hops, I don't think so. First off, it's a Friday night. More people will be out and about.
Yeah, I realized that last night was the night that everyone could probably tune in.
Yeah, I mean, people, fired up for the first round of the draft.
Right. And it's a Thursday.
Well, in RCB, the other thing about the Cowboys being a paper champion division winner, remember, they went 6-6 against teams not in the NFC East last year. And also the NFC East has got we haven't had repeat champions of the NFC East since the Eagles in the early 2000s. Eagles will be the trendy pick to win the East.
Kenny Pickett has Mac Jones's face and Justin Herbert's hair.
Whose arms he got?
Probably Justin Herbert.
No.
No?
No.
That's true. What am I saying? Justin Herbert can slang that thang.
Look at this crawl. Look at this crawl. This is an epic crawl on our Twitch broadcast. There's a lot of work put into this by Mark Miller. It's a good-looking crawl.
No, I didn't get the credentials. It's the playoffs. It's gonna be. It's a tough.
Here's the question: did you try?
I tried once. I didn't. I could have tried harder. Yes.
Well, this just in. Okay, in just little advice.
Yes.
In this industry, you have to try hard.
Yeah.
No. I mean, they're the Miami Heat, and we're a pimple on the back of their life.
I know.
I mean, legitimate members, and now we are legitimate members of the media, but I'm just saying, they don't hand out credentials the way they used to. First off, they started harping 20 years ago after 9/11, but they really now have cut back since the pandemic. So you gotta, and the other thing is, even if you don't get them this year, it would be good. You're really trying to make sure that you can get stuff for next year already.
And you consider yourself a pretty good writer, and I'm not saying that you're not, because you're a better writer than me, probably not as good of a writer as David, but get your little copy and paste letter. You should be emailing the Heat, the Lightning, the Panthers every Monday right now.
Hold on. I'm sorry.
And probably emailing the Bucks and the Dolphins on a bi-weekly basis right now, just to let them know until you get a response. Bother them enough and even call up and say, did you get my email?
Mm-hmm.
James Corden's leaving?
Yeah. Yeah, saw that this morning.
Wow.
Not like many people watch this show anyway. I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk shit about James Corden, but
I thought you were talking about us.
I don't think he's funny.
I don't know if
I thought that the
carpool karaoke
was terrific.
A monster. I mean, got people, pretty big ass people, to agree to sit in a car for a few hours and tape a.
He wasn't even driving. The car was hooked up on the back of a trailer and he was getting tugged by another car.
Who
Who
cares?
cares?
The concept, yes, I get it. It's a great concept. But
Who cares?
Did you,
He got
he got Paul
Madonna.
McCartney
He
to
got,
do
right.
it.
He got Madonna,
He got
Adele,
Paul, he got
Paul
a Beatle.
McCartney.
He got an effing Beatle.
he got all three Migos. That's
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. I didn't realize James Corden's walking away from his show and his contract's up next year. I found that out during the break on our Twitch chat room. I like him.
even Stephen A tweeted about it.
He's upbeat. He's positive. You know, he's happy, peppy, bursting with love. And he's got that carpool karaoke thing. Seems like he'd be a nice guy if he stopped by your party. He stopped by, he'd be like, people would be happy to see him. He'd spend a couple hours. He'd have some witty repartee and he'd leave. People would be like, you know, we have one of these things again. We need to invite him again. That's all. Got a nice role in life, right?
Yeah.
That's all. It just hit me.
All right.
Like you said during the break, he had a Beatle in the car with him. He had a Beatle. He got Adele. He got Madonna.
Right.
He got Bruno Mars and his backup singers and what have you. I mean,
You got the Biebs.
apparently that's a big deal.
Oh, that's a huge deal.
He got you're
I got to admit, I think the twerp Canadian gets a bad rap, though. I actually think he's better than what his haters think. But yes, it's Sir Paul McCartney who was sitting in the passenger seat. That would be Sir Paul McCartney.
Wasn't he knighted?
Yeah, that
you. Just mute your microphone.
listen,
Mute it. You are done.
Listen, two more
And
sentences.
this is a segment you're going to like, and you might have been able to add something, and you're picking Justin flipping Bieber over Paul McCartney.
Look at Raj. Raj is in the hall.
Felipe, you're 2 sentences away from FGCU rescinding that degree. All right.
Not to mention, if I fire you, you don't get the money from having a job when you graduate.
Listen, you can't.
You got about 3 days to get through right now, Felipe. What?
Remember, he's sleep deprived, Felipe. He doesn't have the sense of humor.
2 hours and 23 minutes last night.
That's to the minute, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, he wore the what? Fitbit?
Yeah, just so I could see what the sleep was. 2 hours, 23 minutes, and I got this guy going Biebs on me.
Hey, he got Biebs.
Got Biebs on the show.
Got Biebs. That's impressive.
He's not that funny.
Uh,
James Corden.
All right.
It's this very sexy story. Not
It
James
is.
Corden. This story.
So last night, a Twitter account from Draft Express tweets out the following. Miami's Isaiah Wong will enter the NCAA transfer portal tomorrow if his NIL compensation isn't increased. His agent, Adam Pappas, told ESPN. And this is the quote from his agent. Isaiah would like his NIL to reflect that he was a leader of an Elite 8 team.
Wait, so now we're renegotiating NILs? We're holding out?
Flat out pay for play.
Well, yes, that's where we are now.
But that's the one thing that you can't do. According to everything, the pay for play is illegal in the NCAA. And this guy is saying, I need to renegotiate, which leads to John Ruiz responding, the man who's paying all the athletes at Miami. Isaiah is under contract. He has been treated by Life Wallet exceptionally well. If that's what he decides, I wish him well. However, I do not renegotiate. Surprises me because there are so many players that would love to play for the U.
What part of this do you love or hate the most?
All of it equally.
For the record, this is a college basketball player going public with ESPN last night, threatening to hold out or threatening
to transfer.
Right.
If I don't get more cash.
Which is essentially I'm invoking my trade clause.
And this is on the heels of Miami getting the kid from K-State who just signed for $800,000 to play for the basketball team.
Right. $400,000 a year.
And a car.
I was about to say, don't forget the car.
And he went public with his agent doing the talking for him.
Yes.
Right. This is where we are.
And for Miller and Moulton, who have always been for paying the player, this is the dark side of what could happen.
You'd think.
And this is going on in the middle of the NFL draft, and I'm losing my mind. Because Ruiz is actively participating in the tweets.
Ruiz is bankrolling the University of Miami's damn near entire NIL scheme. And he has no problem doing it. He's got the money. I have no idea what the family situation is, but he's either decided the kids are going to have enough or he doesn't have kids to give the enough to. And he wants to give it to the University of Miami and pump up their entire athletic program. Great. It's his money. The rules say he can do it.
But the rules have nothing. The pay for play is clearly in the illegal part of the rules. You can use your name, image, and likeness, but he's
He's trying to publicly. Returning phone calls. His agent was returning phone calls. I mean, like this was an NFL wide receiver. This is like Deebo Samuel last night.
Well, I mean, this is like blue chips. Hey, I just, walk in the office. I'm going to need more.
Yes.
The tractor wasn't enough for Dad.
Right. Need a car.
Can you imagine telling yourself this story 2 years ago?
No. And Mark Emmert the whole time said, there's nothing I can do. I don't know what we can do. Congress, please help. I don't have a solution. Anybody here got an idea? No, I got nothing.
Could have done so many things. May have all still been challenged, may have all still gone to the Supreme Court, but they wouldn't have looked so arrogant and so flippant towards these athletes.
And clueless.
Yeah,
Now,
don't forget that one.
All right. I have a question, and I don't know if anybody knows the answer. So the kid's got an NIL deal with Miami. Can't he transfer, but then that nullifies the NIL deal?
It can't. It doesn't nullify the NIL. What a lot of people were talking about, Bud Elliott won last night. I would have this, Bud Elliott said, and it was very smart, I would have these NIL deals tied to a lot of local appearances. Essentially saying, yeah, you can leave, but you're going to break the NIL if you're in Waco, Texas, because you're working for NerdWallet or LifeWallet here, and I need you doing appearances in Dade County, and if you can't make them, you're violating the NIL.
Well, yeah. I mean, isn't that essentially what I said? That if he leaves, the NIL is null and void.
Not unless the NIL is specific to have appearances in Dade County, which not all of them are right now.
So does John Ruiz, and hence the University of Miami, believe that this kid can't transfer?
Ruiz wished him well if he did transfer. But the NIL would still be in place the way that I've read through this. You can't tie, because it's pay for play. You can't tie the NIL to a school. It's a company doing a deal with a person. It's not the school doing a deal with the person.
So therefore, the kid could transfer to Baylor and still get the NIL money from Miami?
Which is why people like Bud Elliott are saying not all of these NIL deals have this, but tying them to local appearances kind of keeps them locally. You've got to have a way to keep the kid in your backyard as well. Wild, Wild West, David. It's here upon us.
A suggestion that one of us should send in our resume to be president of the NCAA. Well, the good thing is, for how hard and how little Mark Emmert has worked and done, it seems like it's a part-time job. So why not? We could still do this show and one of us could be president of the NCAA.
Just switching part-time jobs in the afternoon for us. It's not that big of a deal, David.
No. I mean, in North Dakota, the legislature only meets once every 2 years. I mean, you could do that with the NCAA president's job, can't you?
Miller and Moulton. We thank you so much for listening. I promise we'll get a poll question up here at some point.
Whatever. Do you like your team's draft? Yes or no?
Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Clay Travis, lives in Nashville and is a big Titans fan, not happy. So we waited over 20 years for a truly dominant wide receiver. Finally got one, traded him away after the quarterback we gave $100 million to turned into a total bum in his 2 home playoff games. Great rebuilding time.
Did you see the tweet that Elon Musk tweeted the other day where he said, next I'm buying Coca-Cola to
Yes.
put the cocaine back in? It has 4.4 million likes.
He's got 72 billion.
That's crazy. I think the most liked tweet, though, is like 5 or something like that.
Oh, Randall Cobb. I forgot him too.
Steve, if you're in the Twitch chat, what is the Tim Russert whiteboard? What is that?
Forget who it was who asked about getting Royce to talk about the Vikings.
Me.
No, in our Twitch chat room. That's funny though. He had an early morning flight and he couldn't do it. Oh.
Is Tavion Dunmartin like graduating from FGCU?
Well, I don't know if he's graduating, but I know his eligibility is over. I think Sunday or Monday is the last day that kids can put their name in the portal. So there's a couple from FGCU that I'm curious if they're going to do it or not.
Bye-bye, Kevin Samuel.
Yeah. He went to South Alabama. Meet the press. What's that about?
Oh, Felipe was asking about the Tim Russert whiteboard.
Oh, got it. You don't know where that came from? It was before you were born. 2000 election night, Brokaw's on the desk for NBC, and he's got, I think, Brian Williams on one side, and he's got Russert on the other.
Come back.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Rob Ellis will join us at the top of the hour from WIP in Philadelphia. Eagles, one of the 8 teams who had multiple first-round picks, although we ended up with 9 teams, right? With multiple first-round picks, because Baltimore entered the draft with just 1 and ended up having 2.
Really quickly, before we get back to the draft, one of the texts that we received when talking about Isaiah Wong said, cut him. Technically, you can't. He is trying to do this deal with his NIL. That has nothing to do with his scholarship. Now, I'm sure there's a way they could work it. But the fact of the matter is that they are separate. They're all separate entities. And that's the strangeness and the craziness of collegiate sports in 2022. Because the NIL deal is done with LifeWallet. His scholarship's with the University of Miami. Technically, they can't have anything to do with one another. We all know they do.
Right.
But I don't think cutting him is really an option for what it's worth. Sorry, David.
No.
Just wanted to get that texter an answer, and I thought it was a little too wordy to type. And after typing the scroll for all these draft picks, I don't feel like typing much anymore.
We ended up with 9 teams who ended up with 2 first-round picks. Jacksonville and Baltimore traded their way back in to get an extra first-round pick. But Philadelphia technically traded their way out of having 2 first-round picks because they used their second first-rounder for A.J. Brown. Colts now the best team in that division. Added Matt Ryan.
How can they not be?
Well, Colts haven't won that division, by the way, in 8 years.
I understand that. But
And Tennessee's had, 6, 7 straight winning seasons? I mean, I think we're all giving Indianapolis a little more credit than they've deserved.
yeah, until they can beat Jacksonville twice in a season, how can you trust the Indianapolis Colts?
It's not they couldn't beat them twice last year. When are they going to do it?
Right?
But Jacksonville, Baltimore, Detroit, Houston, Giants, Jets, Saints, Packers, Chiefs, 9 teams with multiple first-round picks. And then, of course, you had the 8 who didn't make a first-round pick.
9 with Tampa Bay trading back out of the first round.
Dadgum good point, Mark.
Denver, Chicago, Cleveland, Indianapolis, Las Vegas, Miami, the LA Rams, San Francisco, and Tampa Bay without a first-round pick. Strange just in that facet.
So we only had 23 teams participate in the first round last night. Over a quarter of the league did not participate. Bears have 2 early second-round picks, 39 and 48. Tampa Bay has 2 second-round picks, early and late. Bucks are on the clock right now.
You wonder how much that phone's ringing right now.
Tampa 33, Minnesota 34.
Best players out there. You've got the corner from Clemson, Booth. You've got Nakobe Dean from Georgia. Obviously, the quarterbacks are still there. The 2 running backs are still there.
If you're Tampa, what do you do? What do you do? My guess is you're going to have a pretty sexy trade offer from somebody. But you're in a win now mode. How much can you, that first round pick in 2023, that sounds great. But at Blaine Gabbert, your quarterback, I mean, let's be realistic. After this year, when is the next time that you see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as Super Bowl contenders?
You don't. Unless you have some unbelievable faith in Kyle Trask, for crying out loud. You really and truly don't. Dave.
Right. It's one of the reasons also why I would try to trade for Baker Mayfield if I was Tampa. Now I'm asking Cleveland to pick up 16 of the 19 million. You got to remember though, it's the Browns are saving $3 million on a player that they're moving on from. That may not sound like much, but it's kind of like, well, we're getting rid of this guy anyway.
Your numbers are very big. Pat's been half.
Right.
I don't recall a time in which someone's taken 75, 80% of a salary with that big of a number. There may have. There's just seemingly to be when we talk about this with Pat, he's half the salary. You've always been all but 2-3 million. I don't know if you can get that deal done. You would think somebody would offer something better than that if it was half.
And here's what I'm envisioning. The Bucks have 2 fourth-round picks. One real early, 106. In fact, I think it's the first pick of the 4th round.
Yeah, they got that from Jacksonville.
Okay. Well, if you're Tampa Bay, you call up Cleveland after tonight's over, and you call them up and say, hey, we're on the clock right now. You want to be on the clock? Give us Baker Mayfield. You pick up 3/4 of it, by the way. Just so you know, you're picking up 15. I'll pick up 4. But I'll give you the first pick of the 4th round. I mean, listen, what we're doing now in terms of, these players haven't been taking this, that, and the other thing. I mean, there's probably somebody, even on a good solid roster like Cleveland, I'll bet you there'll be somebody on the board at the end of tonight who's scheduled to be one of the first 2 players taken on Saturday, in which the Browns are going to go, well, hell, that guy can come in and play for us tomorrow. And we can save $4 million, get rid of a guy that we've already moved on from, and we can pick up that guy? Huh? Yeah, I'll do it. And if you're Tampa, now you got a $4 million backup quarterback who can come in and win games. God forbid something happens to Brady, where he misses a couple weeks, or, obviously the worst case scenario, which happened once in his career, by the way. And the other thing, which is the obvious, you get him in, you get him here, and you say, listen, come on now, soak everything possible up off of this guy right here. This franchise could be yours, man. This franchise could be yours. And take a look around the league. Not going to be a lot of starting jobs available next year.
No, and you just have to point to what Jameis Winston done sitting behind Drew Brees for a year. He's got a starting job now.
Yeah.
He's got another chance.
I mean, hell, he had the starting job last year, got hurt, and they still are staying with him. It's not like Baker Mayfield's a bum. Baker Mayfield got hurt. For everybody out there is like, I don't know. Just be honest with yourself. What'd you think about Baker Mayfield a year ago today?
Baker made a decision to play with an injury. The decision backfired horribly on Baker Mayfield.
Right. And okay, Browns moved on. It's all right. Fine.
I mean, would take, obviously without the baggage, but just straight up, if Deshaun Watson's going to play, we're going to take Deshaun Watson over Baker Mayfield.
So, by the way, Greg in our Twitch chat room with Baker the Clown. Who says Baker's a clown? I mean, are the Browns saying he's a clown?
No.
Have his teammates in Cleveland said he's a clown?
OBJ's dad.
Right. Now, I will say, I think upon further review, clearly, and the head coach, by the way, bears some responsibility in this. I mean, clearly Odell was open and they didn't get him the ball. I mean, you can only blame so much of that on Odell because he went to the Rams and caught touchdown passes. When they were sending two guys out in pass patterns, by the way, him and Cooper. So it's just, listen, it's my thought. No one else is thinking it. The national media still is talking about Baker Mayfield as a starting quarterback. It's almost May, man. I mean, I think we got to move to Plan B. Plan B is the Jameis Winston, Mitchell Trubisky model. You go somewhere for a year and rehabilitate yourself and try to get yourself in a good situation the following season.
This thing starts on Saturday and Baker hasn't been moved. I'd like your chances a whole lot more to get him to Tampa. I still think Cleveland thinks they're going to move him in the next 24 hours to either Carolina or Seattle or somewhere where they think they can at least get more of the salary taken.
So how'd you think your team did? Good, bad, or indifferent? Text the show. Take part in our Twitch chat room. How do you think your team did? And a strange day for us, Miller and Moulton and the Florida Sports Network, because two of the three teams in our state didn't select a player in the first round of the draft. And the Dolphins in recent years have had a ton of first-round picks. And now they're barely going to select one guy even tonight at 102. And Tampa trades out of the first round, and they have the first pick of the second round and 2 second-round picks. And do you like what the Jags did? I don't like Trayvon Walker at 1. Got to be honest. Devin Lloyd, good, solid player, position of need. They felt they couldn't get him unless they moved up. I do think it's interesting if they had hung tight at 33 and Kobe Dean's on the board.
And why he slid the way he did. But, Lloyd, you could say the same thing on Lloyd because he was on a lot of people's board, top 10 talent that slipped way into the 20s. But we'll find out on Trayvon Walker. You and I would have gone offensive line. We said that before the whole draft started.
Well, also, it is a very interesting. I mean, this is a very gutsy pick by Balky. If reports are to be believed, he didn't take the guy his boss wanted him to take. And this is a guy who, it doesn't matter what his contract says, he's working year to year at this point. And secondly, he's banking on a guy to be a better pro than he was a college player. Because you never would have drafted Trayvon Walker first overall based on his stats. I mean, he had a career high in stats this year with 6. Now, I will say, in Georgia, he only played 52% of the snaps.
Well, that's the biggest concern I have.
Hutchinson had 14 sacks. Walker had 6. Now, Hutchinson was out there every damn down for the most part. Walker, half the downs. I mean, I think in an ideal world they trade out, but there was nobody in this draft that somebody wanted to move up to 1 for. Although with the way Detroit was aggressive yesterday, who knows? Maybe Detroit would have given you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to move up to 1 to take Hutchinson.
We love what the Ravens did in the draft. Jets had a great draft. Your Giants had a great draft. The Lions, I think, had an excellent draft. Atlanta.
It's interesting who they chose. I mean, they got 2 second-rounders here. They could get a quarterback here. But it's interesting. They started the run at wide receivers, and obviously the number 1 receiver on their board was Drake London. That's interesting. Now, if Drake London didn't break his ankle, that might not have been a surprise. But boy, did that start a run on wide receivers. 3 in a row, 4 out of 5, 6 out of 11. And the other interesting factor about it, Mark, was the wide receiver position was the one that started the trades. Saints trade up for Olave. Detroit trades way up for Jameson Williams. Philly, well, they moved up for Jordan Davis, but Tennessee moved back in for Treylon Burks.
What do you think of the Saints draft? I mean, obviously the Saints don't think they're rebuilding. That's one thing that's for sure out of this. You go up and get a receiver, they don't believe that they're in any sort of a rebuild whatsoever.
Once again, the Saints came into the draft with 2 firsts and a second, needing what? A wide receiver, a tackle, and a safety. The Saints, when they saw the run starting at wide receiver, traded up 5 spots to get a speedy wide receiver. They then were able to get the 4th best tackle in the draft, and they're sitting at 49. And what can they do? Although the late first round hurt them, Hill and Sign going 31-32. Yes. Those are the second and third best safeties on the board. But they're sitting at 49, and they can get a safety. Miller and Moulton.
Pretty good draft for the Saints all in all. And they definitely do not think they're rebuilding.
No. They did give us some picks for next year, however. Rob Ellis from Philly. Talk about the Eagles draft next.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program,
The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So last summer, I was going to go see Steely Dan. COVID canceled it.
Right.
It was in St. Pete and Miami. Coming back this July. All excited to get tickets. Found out they added Barbara B. Mann.
Okay.
Emailed my guy over there who's a big fan of the show.
All right.
Hooked me up with I paid for him, but fifth
Right.
row seats. Pretty excited.
Yeah,
Saturday night in July.
cool. Did you
What a
answer?
night.
Did you
I mean,
guys answer Klecko as to what pick did Mark make the switch? He lined it all up. He first reached for the bottle while pick 21 was being announced because I said it was pick 22. And then when he realized that that was the case, he nursed a beer for a little while longer before then making the move to the bourbon. We behaved last night in comparison to a couple of other times we've done it.
Well, it was a little bit hard. I mean, not harder, but there was without any quarterbacks, without any sexiness, I think you had to be a little more in tune.
But
You guys, sorry.
yeah, no, what?
You guys made me laugh a couple times last night. Like, you guys were great. There was one time where you were like talking about the fact that your mom is watching, and that
Right.
you told her not to curse, and she was like, "Yeah, you're also my favorite son. I'm
Right.
also her only son."
Right.
That made me laugh. That was good.
Her father, my grandfather, whom I just adore. But his whole thing was, hello, favorite grandson. Look right at him. You don't have any other grandkids.
Hops, your behavior was a little disappointing, to be honest.
All right. We'll go a little crazy next time.
Real quick before I make this phone call, I did my Tim Russert research. Dude was a legend.
Yeah.
Legendary journalist.
I have not watched Meet the Press since he died. Actually,
man.
the farewell show that they did for him the Sunday after he died, I watched. I have not watched Meet the Press since.
They said he asked the questions America wanted to ask.
He did.
Yes.
The other thing was he got Republicans, and here's a guy who worked for Tip O'Neill, okay, and Patrick Moynihan, and he got Cheney and Bush and Republicans to routinely come on his show because they respected him so much.
John McCain too.
Well, McCain would do anybody's
Yeah,
show.
he'd do anybody's show.
I mean, I liked him, but
Rest in peace.
I mean, John would.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the final hour of Miller and Moulton in Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. Halfway home in the 239, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Rob Ellis, kind enough to join us once again. 94 WIP in Philadelphia. Also part of a sports show on YouTube, noon to 3 weekdays. Follow Rob on Twitter, RLS Sports, RLS Sports. Rob, it's David and Mark once again. So how the heck are you? This is the best sports night in Philadelphia since when?
Oh, boy, that's a great question, guys. I mean, it was what a wild night. So I'm doing, you guys can appreciate this, I'm doing a live show last night for the draft. We came on at 8, and we were going to go until the end of the first round. But I made it a point to also have a little monitor where I could watch the Sixers game as well. You know, little did I know that they would destroy Toronto and then all kinds of Eagles fireworks. It's right up there. I mean, in terms of not winning an actual, championship, it's pretty high up there because there were fireworks left and right last night in Philadelphia area, guys.
And I mean, the Sixers did it just right. They got this thing out of hand so that all the Eagles fans could get in tune with their draft picks. The timing of this sucker couldn't have been any better. And hey, come on. Teams can screw up drafts. Right now, the Eagles, by everybody, are just being lauded for what was a terrific draft, and they get a great receiver in A.J. Brown.
Yeah, the one thing about Howie Roseman is he's very unpredictable. There's two things. He's incredibly unpredictable, and he's incredibly aggressive. And when you stake him, months ago with 3 first-round picks, he's not going to be sitting pat. He already unloaded one of them before the draft to New Orleans. He got a first-rounder for next year, which I think was a fleecing, which we tend to even forget because of last night. But to make the move up and get Jordan Davis that can anchor a defensive line that was a few sacks in the NFL, I just think, and he's not a sack guy necessarily, but what he's going to be able to do for the others on that defensive line, for Hassan Reddick, who they signed in the offseason, is just an unbelievable move. And then the A.J. Brown thing. Look, this team, in my opinion, had the worst receiving core minus Devontae Smith in football. There were no threats there. Jalen Reagor was a bust. Arcega-Whiteside was a bust. And it's just a bunch of guys. Now, all of a sudden, you bring in a Pro Bowl caliber, strong, big guy to complement what Devontae Smith brings to the table. You just gave Jalen Hurts the greatest Christmas gift in April you could possibly give someone.
Well, and also, let's face it, Fletcher Cox is nearing the end, and there's a chance between Cox and Kelsey that 2 pretty big salary figures are going to come off the books here, maybe in the next 12 months. And so when Brown's contract kicks in and you're paying him $25 million a year, well, you can afford it, and your second-round pick quarterback still on his rookie deal. I mean, also from a cap standpoint, Rob, it really seems as if Howie Roseman, after a couple of rough years in which his job was placed on the line publicly, he's nailed the last 12 months.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you look at last year, you got 4 immediate contributors with Devontae Smith, with Landon Dickerson, with Milton Williams, with Kenneth Gainwell. All 4 of those guys played a pretty prominent role for the Eagles, some lesser than others. But he nailed last year. You guys right on the money as usual. The fact that you have Jalen Hurts and Gardner Minshew as your 2 quarterbacks making peanuts allows you this kind of flexibility that a lot of teams don't have. And yes, you're also right about the defensive line. You could throw Javon Hargrave in there, who could be out of here after next year as well. So all of a sudden now you're going to have money to play with. You're going to have the exiting of the old guard and the ushering in of the new guard in that interior defensive line. And this is how you do it. You have to cycle and get these drafts right. You can't just buy your way. But the beauty of making some of these, really, I think, moves, it lines you up to be able to pounce on a weakness, on a team that maybe, doesn't want to part ways with A.J. Brown, but doesn't really have much of a choice. And boom, there you go. And all of a sudden now, this looks like a completely different offense.
Well, and then the other side of it is now you've got the receivers for Jalen Hurts, and we have a year to find out whether or not he can be Philadelphia's quarterback. And Rob, they've got the draft capital next year if he's not, to go up and get somebody.
Yeah, and there's no, And I like Jalen Hurts. And when I say this, this isn't a knock at him because I think he deserves this year to see what he's got. But this also eliminates all the excuses. And it's basically, hey, look, now you have weapons. You have arguably the best offensive line in football. You have a running game that's sort of a throwback with how good they are, in large part because of that offensive line. You have a real good tight end in Dallas Goedert, and now you have two weapons on the outside. It's all sitting there for Jonathan Gannon. And by the way, Nick Sirianni, who was an offensive guy, now you don't have the limitations that you had last year. This is all out now.
How good are they defensively? Because let's face it, Jordan Davis is probably, at least as a rookie, just going to be a two-gap plugger for run defense. All right. I mean, hopefully he turns into Vita Vea or something more, but or hello, not in the best case scenario, but defensively, Rob, heading into the second, third, and fourth rounds, where are they?
Well, they're good up front because, I think this helps Fletcher Cox, extend him for at least a year for a guy who looks like he's on the back nine of his career. It's certainly Hargrave had an unbelievable start to a season and then fizzled a bit. They added Milton Williams last year, who I'm sure you guys are familiar with as well. So I think up front, and also throwing Hassan Reddick in there, who was double-digit sacks the last 2 years. I think up front they're good, but then the problem starts to hit as you work your way back. In particular, if we want to skip over the linebackers for a minute, because they've made a nice signing with Kazir White from the Chargers, but the problem is the back end. You take Darius Slay out of there, and the rest of that, it's a skeleton crew, man. You don't have a complimentary corner to start. You have Avonte Maddox in the slot, but you don't have anybody else outside, and you're missing two safeties. That's where there has to be damage done today, and that's where you could still see a guy like Honey Badger possibly be signed by the Eagles, but they're bad on the back end. They're good up front.
I want to switch gears to the Sixers. They're going to now get ready for the Heat. I'm just curious, Rob, how big in your estimation was last night? We thought, everybody here thought Philly was going to win the series, but going 7 would have been detrimental to them. And now, not just a win, but a dominant win, to me, that's pretty big heading into this series for Miami.
Guys, I think if that went 7, just the weight of that being back home in Philly, if things go poorly early, the boos start raining down, I think they lose that game. I think they're the first team in 143 tries that would have dropped, a 3-0 lead. To their credit, they manned up. They really, really played well last night. I think what you got was younger James Harden, not the version we have seen the last couple of games. Tyrese Maxey got a swag back, which was gigantic. Embiid basically said, look, I got to get it in my head. I'm going to be out here in pain. If I'm going to be playing, deal with it or don't play. And he went out there and played. So I think it was big for this team. I think there's big-time challenges with this Heat team that you guys know very well and beyond if it goes that far. But the game last night showed some character for a team where you started to question the character a little bit.
Well, and Rob, I thought in the last 24 hours that, the Sixers kind of stood up for themselves. Doc looked at the media and said, hey, you want to take your shots, fine, but could you put some of it in context, please? And, Embiid, I think, basically challenged Harden and Doc and himself. And Doc said at halftime, he kind of looked at the team kind of like, can we just take care of this? Can we just do what we can do? And they went out 70-36 in the second half. I kind of felt as if the Sixers kind of developed a little more of a backbone in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, look, I think that's a fair read on this thing. Part of the thing with the Sixers is they're really weird relationship with the city because they went through the whole process, the whole tanking, whatever you want to call it thing. And they feel like, the fans at least, feel like they're owed because of what they went through with, 10, 12 win seasons over and over again, and Tony Rotens and Henry Sims guys being rolled out there. So I think the fans look at it and say, look, we didn't sit through all this for second round exits. And therefore there's less tolerance and less patience. It's a bizarre kind of cultish thing with the Sixers, but nonetheless, you're right. I mean, I think your read on this thing is right. And you know what? You're going to go through this kind of adversity, certainly in the regular season, but definitely in the playoffs. And maybe you get it out of the way pretty early here with this Toronto team. It's a pesky team, guys. Let's face it; they're not an easy team to play. It's a unique style. And Nick Nurse crying 24/7. There was a lot going on in the series, but yeah, I think you had a lot of players to a man last night say, all right, enough of this. Let's put a stop to it. They did it on the road, which I think showed a little bit more character. And of course, look, it already revolves around Embiid, but you have to have the complementary pieces, and he had it last night.
All right, Rob, quickly, our money. Would you bet on the Eagles to win the East right now? Let's just say Dallas and Philly just kind of adds, some role players in the rest of the draft, another good linebacker, secondary for you guys. So basically what you have now is what you have. Our money, you betting on the Eagles to win the East?
I am, and I'm going to give you one name why. It's not even an Eagle name. It's Mike McCarthy. I just do not believe in Mike McCarthy in any circumstance. Dallas every year seems to have the best team on paper, but they can't get out of their own way in big spots. I don't believe in Washington. I don't believe in the Giants yet. I think the Giants had a draft. I think Washington, I like Ron Rivera, but neither one of those teams are there. For me, it's really Dallas that you're looking at. And I think ultimately, as long as McCarthy's in charge, I think the Eagles can win the division. Now, this last night changed things in a big way, in my estimation, in the NFC East.
Mark, only in Philadelphia can they grow weary quickly of Super Bowl winning coaches. Doug Peterson, Mike McCarthy. Okay, only in Philadelphia. It is part of your charm, Rob. You do have to acknowledge that.
I am very charming, guys. I agree with that, yes.
Rob Ellis works noon to 3 every day. It's Sports Take. It's a YouTube channel. It's predominantly Philadelphia sports, noon to 3 every day. You can hear him on WIP as well. Follow Rob on Twitter, @REllisSports, @REllisSports. Rob, thanks for always being a good sport, particularly at this hour. Have a great weekend.
All right, love coming on with you guys. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks.
Rob Ellis, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. 2 Super Bowl winning coach. These guys, whatever. Yeah, we need to move on.
Already, I don't know if it's a Cowboy fan or coming at us on text line, just taking it to Philadelphia is a turd. You can paint a turd blue or green in this case. It's still just a turd. Jalen Hurts, you're putting all your money on that guy. Forget it. Well, they're not.
That's a good point, though.
They're giving him weapons.
Well, it's a good point. I mean, he could look at his team and their team and say, listen, the difference, quite frankly, could just be Dak against Hurts. And I'll take Dallas. Okay, that's fair. That's very fair. I mean, there was, a 3-game difference in the standings?
Yep.
12-5 versus 9-8. So, Philly's got a ways to go here.
Absolutely.
We were just wondering, did they get there last night? Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Ryan, apparently, I mean, this was their story anyway. They came out and they said, we just couldn't sign him. We tried hard. But now my question is, I mean, what the Eagles, didn't they sign him? Wasn't it like 4 for 100?
4 for 157 guaranteed.
So my question is, how hard did the Titans try?
Not that hard.
I mean, did they only go to like 4 for 90? You know, did they only go 22 a year, 23 a year? Giants had a good draft yesterday, though.
They did.
Could be a great draft. Could be an okay draft if Thibodeau doesn't pan out.
But if Trayvon Walker's the bust and Thibodeau ends up being the stud, it's a great draft.
Tell you what, though, Pac-12 pass rushers scare the shit out of me.
Yes, we did, Debbie.
Yep. 7:23 or 4-ish.
Yeah, because I screamed at Philly for the first 3 minutes of that segment.
All right. So around 7:25 to 7:30. Well, and let's face it, Giants got a little lucky. They had to figure either one of the corners or Thibodeau was going to be on the board for him at 5. Word was they would have gone Sauce over Thibodeau if he was there, if they were both there. And then,
do you think Booth could, if they could end up with Booth?
they could end up with Nakobe Dean, which I think would be incredible.
Vikings could take him at 34. They need a linebacker too, David, for what it's worth.
But the Giants do need a corner. I think it'd be tremendous. Although I will say drafting 2 guys from the Pac-12 on defense. Did I say it scares me? Guys not from USC. Ryan, what I think happened was when he didn't show up like 10 days, 2 weeks ago to whatever they were doing, that freaked him out because everything was amicable. They were negotiating the whole deal, and then he didn't show. And so then they went to visit him, this according to them, and they tried really hard to get him signed, and they just felt that they weren't going to be able to sign him. Well, the Eagles have a really good offensive line. I mean, fam, that's not the problem. The Eagles secondary is bad outside of Darius Slay, though. That's what Rob Ellis pointed out.
Hey, for the record, we did get this. We got to bring this up today. Tonight, Rick Jeanneret calls his last game. Someone said a nice note.
Well, we got a guest coming up at 8:38, so we could.
9.
You sure?
Yeah, I don't think it needs that much time.
Okay.
Loved the LaFontaine calls.
LaFontaine. Did you guys like Future's album last night? I think it was good.
What?
Future, he dropped his album last night.
Okay. Mute. I was going to bring you Cuban food. That's done.
No.
Done.
Wow.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. How weird. No Bucks, no Dolphins in the first round. Jags ended up picking twice.
Dolphins been all over the text line today talking about how great their first round was.
Don't lose the snark, Dolphin. Don't lose the snark.
It is amazing after all the draft picks the Dolphins had to not have a pick in the first round.
Or the second. And the only reason they have one in the third is it's compensatory.
Yeah, very late tonight or early tomorrow morning, the Miami Dolphins will pick.
All right, 102. Only the Rams, I believe, are on the clock later. I think the Rams are on at 104.
Will you be having your own Twitter show tonight? Will you be watching and tweeting in rounds 2 and 3?
I don't think so, but I will be watching. I mean, come on. I'm a guy in his mid-50s, and it's a Friday night, so what am I going to be doing? Besides, I still have a few extra Peronis sitting in the fridge from last night, and I've got a big thing of the buffalo chicken dip from Publix and a whole big bag of scoops. I mean,
Party on, Wayne.
Let's call it a night right there.
It was 1993 was the first draft. 93 or 94. I lived in Atlanta, and we had neighbors who we'd become friends with, 3 girls, and we knew one of their brothers. That's how we met. And I'll never forget, all of a sudden, they're like, the draft's tomorrow. What time you guys coming over? We're making breakfast. You're bringing beer. And we're like,
wow.
Huh? They were all Florida State grads. It's the, hey.
Right. 93, right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And they were all in. It was when the Jets took the Florida State kid from
Marvin Jones.
It was that draft. And those 3 ladies are as responsible for me loving the draft as anything else.
I got to be honest. You're like, what, 24?
Oh, yeah.
Right about then? I mean, I don't know if you were serious with anybody at the time, but Mark, if I'm living with 2 other guys and I'm in my early 20s and 3 women who like live across the hall or whatever are like, hey, we're doing the draft tomorrow. We're cooking. You make sure you bring the beer, what have you. I'd be looking around going, well, I got to propose to one of these 3 like quickly.
All right. Truthfully, there was only one worth proposing to, and she wanted nothing to do with any of us.
Okay, well, listen,
because we would have all been on a knee.
I was going to say
in the ring to that young lady.
You got to reevaluate the situation though. There, hold on a second. Wait a minute. You guys are coming to us about a draft party?
Put it this way: I could tell you the name of one of the 3 people.
I mean, I can fall in love with one of you probably before the first round's done. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you had me at draft party,
and
what
this
I'm
is
saying.
ESPN in the morning. This is getting up early.
Right, this is the noon Saturday
noon
draft.
Saturday.
Right. We're going at it hard all day. Remember, that's the NFL never should have switched to Thursdays. Remember?
Correct. What a terrible idea, this Thursday night draft thing.
Colin Cowherd does when Colin was right, when Colin was wrong. Let me tell you, of the 8 million things that Miller and Moulton have been wrong about, a top 5er was, what are they doing moving the draft off of Saturday? It was perfect. First 3 rounds on Saturday, rounds 4 through 7 on Sunday. What this primetime thing, it'll never work. It just dragging it out over 3 days. Whew. Man. Maybe it's why we were never hired. We always kept trying to land a job with the NFL or one of the teams.
That was a dark day for us. That was a dark day in Miller and Moulton.
And by then we were streaming. They could actually hear it. I mean, really came back to bite us. No question about it. But that's a top 5er right there. Miller and Moulton.
Got a text asking, any chance the Lions get a Jabbo as well?
Well, the problem is they're now at 46.
Well, I think it's a possibility there.
Sure.
But Baltimore's at 45, and wouldn't you just see the Ravens taking it right before?
And laughing. Just laughing. I do know, and it's surprising to us, and we've got Bo Smolka coming up. He covers the Ravens. You and I both thought the Ravens had a really good day. I mean, they went into the draft with 1 first-round pick. They traded Hollywood Brown and came away with 2 first-round picks, and then even traded down with the 2nd first-rounder, 2 more spots, and got a 4th-rounder added to it. And they came out of the draft with Kyle Hamilton. Now, yeah, Philly traded up 1 spot ahead of them to take Jordan Davis, but you know, when you're the Ravens and the Lions trade up to 12 to take Jamison Williams, you're turning and looking at one another and going, well, hell, we could take Jordan Davis or Kyle Hamilton, whichever one's left. Turned out it was Kyle Hamilton. Okay, fine, we'll take him. Ravens secondary was terrible last year at the end of the year. They had a ton of injuries.
I don't know who's going to catch a pass for the Ravens this year, not named Andrews.
Their receivers total last year, the receivers that are on the roster, accumulated 1,002 yards receiving last year. Now that Hollywood Brown was traded away, he had 6 touchdowns. He did have 1,000-yard season, but I mean, you know, do the math, 1,000-yard season in 17 games. I mean, that's 60 yards a game. It's not quite, I mean, with 17 games now, we almost, I think, have to alter some of, you know, when you look at 1,000-yard rusher, get to 1,200. You know, 1,000-yard receiver, could you get to 1,200? That's around 70 yards a game. 1,190 is 70 yards a game. I mean, we may have to start looking at this as like, could you guys get to 1,200? Then I think you're talking.
By the way, just to end on a job, I don't think he'd get past Seattle with both their picks there because they need an edge guy, and I think that would be a good spot for him. The question for me for Baltimore, the receiver that you like from North Dakota State, is he still going to be around for Baltimore? Would they replace the speed of Brown with the speed of Watson, the kid from North Dakota State?
Well, let's face it. I mean, I'm seeing 9 trades. I wrote down 10. I've got 10 trades last night. But I'm seeing, 9. But either way, we had a boatload of trades, and that's in the first round. You start getting in Friday, man, do people start moving around? Because, I mean, the Ravens have, 6 4th-round picks?
Right.
I mean, like, they can't take their 2nd rounder and attach something to it and move up and get somebody they really want. And you are onto something, Mark. If you're the Ravens, I know you normally sit tight and just take a really good player, but you may have to go get a receiver tonight. I mean, you may even have to call Tampa.
Ooh.
And, I mean,
package a couple of those 6th and say, I need to get up there to get the best receiver. Satisfy your quarterback who tweeted out WTF last night.
Well,
and then tweeted out, not about the center they got me.
You know, if you're the Ravens with 5 or 6 4th-round picks, you got a 2nd rounder, a 3rd rounder. I mean, can you sit tight to 45 and have 12 players come off the board? Now, granted, the Packers decided they didn't have to draft a receiver, and they're going to wait to 53 and 59 and draft somebody. So maybe the Ravens can. I mean, we could rattle off 6, 8, 10, we think pretty darn good players who are not receivers just off the top of our head. You got 2 corners on the board that some people thought were going in the first round, the kid from Clemson, the kid from Washington.
Well, and you got both quarterbacks right there.
You got Nakobe Dean. We haven't had a running back go yet. You know, I mean, you could sit there. Who knows? Christian Watson could be there. But I wouldn't count on it. Miller and Moulton. And yeah, 23 was traded twice, Arch. That's in our Twitch chat room, and that's why I think there were 10 trades, where most consider it 9. We'll head to Baltimore. Bo Smolka Ravens, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Elon Musk, 4 minutes ago. The far left hates everyone, themselves included. He's having a ball.
Dratharian, you're going to have to refresh my memory. Remember, between the two of us right now, we're working on about 6 hours sleep. Who was the Bengals' second-round pick last year? I like their pick, by the way, Dax Hill at 31. I like that a lot. They got the safety that they're Bates, who they've had to franchise. Yeah, that looks like that's not working out. There's a couple things about the Bengals that would cause me to pump the brakes a little bit. First off, they were only a 10-7 regular season team. And that was playing a fourth-place schedule, and the division turned out to be not as good last year as we all thought it would be. And they got swept by the Browns. So, they had a really nice postseason run, but I don't think they're as good as how the season went, if you know what I mean. And now, obviously, they're not sneaking up on anybody, but also they went like 4 for 4 with their veteran free agent signings last year. And they were all kind of journeyman players on the rebound. So now the question is one of the other teams in the division going to be able to, step up? Yeah, KM, I was convinced that there had to be a 2023 pick involved in the Vikings-Lions trade because Minnesota just didn't get enough back. But
I kept reading the trade to David. He's
I
like,
know.
Where's the other pick? I'm like, David, I've got two different people. But no, there's got to be a 2023 pick.
There's no way they've made that trade, and that's all they got back in return. They moved up 12 spots in the second round and added a third rounder. There's no flipping way. I mean, think about that. The Lions had to swap picks in the second round, giving up only 12 spots, not like 25 spots, 12 spots, and then give up a third rounder. Now, it's an early third, but still, that's it to move up 20 spots in the first round? 20!
Mark, who am I?
A soon-to-be unemployed radio producer.
Craig Kimbrell. Well, Jimmy Bird, they talked about why Mixon wasn't on the field, and they didn't want to use the timeout, and they got caught in substitutions. And I also questioned the play calling. They got a little cute, thinking they were going to just be able to pick up that first down. That's a great line, fam.
Back to that neighbor story that you had with the FSU fans. There's a girl out there that likes the association. I know it.
No, there's not.
I'll find her.
But she might have been one of the other two. Said there was 3 girls. I can tell you the one girl's name. I couldn't tell you the other 2.
Bo Smolka is one of the girls' names.
Bo.
And he needs to be called Bo Smolka. Hello.
He was doing layups.
I know. And Craig Kimbrell impressions.
And then it morphed into pitching. I mean,
there's part of me
that wants to give him a camera. And there's another part of me that dreads the thought of giving him a camera.
I know. It's frightening. It's entertaining and frightening all the
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. The home stretch for 3/4 of our audience in Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The bonus hour for those in the 239 still to follow. Bo Smolka is kind enough to join us. He covers the Ravens for Press Box. You can follow him on Twitter, the letter B, Smolka, Smolka, Bo Smolka of Press Box. Bo, it's David and Mark. Thanks for agreeing to do this. How are you?
I'm tired, but I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, we're right there with you. We thought at first and second glance that the Ravens had a really good night. And then we heard from a few Ravens fans who didn't agree. Just curious, your thoughts on the Ravens night.
Well, I think I think they've opened themselves up to scrutiny, quite honestly. Let's go through this. First, Kyle Hamilton. I mean, safety is not a position of need for this team right now. They just signed Marcus Williams to a big contract this offseason. They have Chuck Clark as a starter. They have Brandon Stevens, who they brought in last year as a third-round pick. It wasn't a position of need at all, and yet Eric DeCosta said last night they had a Kyle Hamilton among their top 5 players overall. He said not in a million years did he think Kyle Hamilton would be there at number 14 for them. And when he was, it was a no-brainer to take him. He just thinks he's an incredible athlete. He can help this defense in a lot of ways, and it was a no-brainer is how he described it to pick him. And then of course, then they made a trade, and they traded Marquise Brown away, and that gave them a second first-round pick, which they used on Iowa center Tyler Linderbaum, who I think is a really good fit for this offense and what they want to do. The issue is, in trading away Marquise Brown, the team has suddenly created another big hole in its passing game. And that's, I think, the two reasons Raven fans are a little cautious. One, they didn't see Kyle Hamilton as a position of need, and they look at this team and say, boy, we need edge rushers, we need cornerbacks. But I think they can work around that, and Hamilton is going to be an impact player for them. What they've done, though, is they've created another big hole here at wide receiver. And this is an organization that spent like 20 years trying to figure it out at wide receiver. And it looked like with Marquise Brown, maybe they finally had. And now they traded him away. Now, I asked Eric DeCosta at his news conference at the end what went into this trade, and he came right out and said Marquise Brown asked to be traded after the season. I don't think Marquise Brown was particularly happy playing here, and the interesting thing with that is he and Lamar Jackson are like best friends. They arrive at the stadium together every day. They spend a lot of time off the field together. But Marquise Brown, I think, at times has kind of disappeared in this offense, and a couple of times he's publicly griped about the ball not coming his way, that kind of thing. And so it seemed that he was not enamored with playing in this offense that is kind of predicated on the run, and he wanted to trade. So they lose Marquise Brown, and while they've added two really good players, and Eric DeCosta called them the two best players at their position in the whole draft, they've created suddenly a major hole. And the question is how they go about filling that. So that is the reason why I think there's some hesitation to figure out what this will look like in the end. I think if Marquise Brown wasn't happy here, he wasn't happy here, and that was going to play out and show. So I think in the end, moving him was probably the right move. But I think that is the only reason there's some caution about it.
All right, for the rest of the draft, I mean, does that mean at 45, Baltimore's got to go out and get a receiver? Or is this going to be something you think that'll be done free agency-wise? Because there still are good receivers out in free agency.
No, there are, and I think they probably will do that. And look, they've done that for years now. That's kind of been a running joke here. They go every offseason, they grab this past year was Sammy Watkins. Before that was Jeremy Maclin. Before that was Steve Smith. And you go back, they just keep getting these receivers in free agency, and I think they ultimately will find one that way. They've also got to they've got to get an edge rusher. They've got to get pass pressure here, and that's what, to me, the biggest need. It was the biggest need going into last night. They passed on Jermaine Johnson. Obviously, they passed on him twice because he was available when they took Linderbaum. So there was something there they didn't like with Jermaine Johnson. But their pass rush now, they didn't re-sign Justin Houston. Tyus Bowser led the team in sacks last year and then tore his Achilles in the season finale against Pittsburgh. Adafe Owe had 5 sacks last year as a rookie and has shown really well. But behind Adafe Owe and Bowser, there's not much there. And so I think they will get an edge rusher with 1 pick tonight. At the moment, they have 2 picks tonight because they traded one of their day 2 picks to Arizona in the Brown deal. But I think they'll take an edge rusher tonight. The interesting thing, too, about the Kyle Hamilton pick was clearly they knew the Marquise Brown trade was happening because Marquise Brown was at the Arizona draft party. So this deal had been going in the works. So they knew when they picked Hamilton, they needed a receiver. And there was that whole run on receivers right before they picked. They would have had the opportunity to take a receiver there in the first round. But they looked at Hamilton, as I said, as a top 5 player, and they called it a no-brainer to take him. Receiver does become a need. I think they'll look for that in free agency. I think they might take a day 3 wide receiver. I don't know what kind of impact that will have, but to me, they have 2 picks right now tonight, barring any other trades, and I think they really need to find themselves an edge rusher, and they need to find themselves another cornerback.
All right, some quick bookkeeping, if you could help us out. They had 2 third-rounders, but they gave one of them away to Arizona in the trade. Which one did they give away? They gave away 76 or 100?
They gave away number 100.
Okay.
So right now they have 45 and 76, and then they picked up, in that trade they moved to number 23. Then they traded back to 25 with Buffalo, and they picked up another 4th-round pick, with the number of which I don't have in front of me, but it's number 100 is the one they traded. So going into tonight, they now have 45 and 76.
And they picked up 130, which I believe gives them 6 4th-round picks. 5.
Yep, they have 6 right now.
6
in the 4th round.
Right. Between 100 and 130, by the way, they have 6 picks due the Ravens. And, Bo, that's where I wanted to go. When we did our casual mock draft, and we're not trying to be, Ozzie Newsome here, But we just thought, man, Jordan Davis to the Ravens seems like a perfect fit. And they've got the 2 third-rounders and the 5 fourth-rounders when the draft started. Don't you think if Jordan Davis gets to around 11, 12, 13, that, they can throw a little something in extra, move up 1 or 2 spots and make sure they don't lose out on Jordan Davis? What was the reasoning, since Davis seemed to be more of a need than Hamilton, why they didn't, not get boxed out for the big fella?
Well, it's interesting. He was by far the most popular kind of mock draft player linked to the Ravens in the last week or so, because he's he's a need, he's a fit, he's an athletic freak. And so obviously the Eagles must have thought the Ravens were going to take him, because the Eagles leapfrogged them right in front of the Ravens and took him. In listening to DeCosta speak, they would, my sense is they would not have taken Davis over Hamilton, because they see Hamilton as a top 5 overall player in the draft. And going back to Ozzie Newsome, and Eric DeCosta worked for Ozzie Newsome for 20 years, they will always say, we take our best player on the board. And now that, regardless of need. Now, if the best player on the board had been, let's just say, a quarterback, I don't think they're taking a quarterback. But to his point, I think they just had Kyle Hamilton in the top 5 picks overall in the draft. I don't know where they had Davis, but they saw Hamilton as one of the absolute best players in the draft.
Okay.
And he was there, Hamilton rather, as one of the best 5 players in the draft. And so at that time, my sense is they weren't going to trade up for Davis, because they're sitting there knowing they can get either Davis or Hamilton. And I think they would have been fine with either. But when Hamilton comes to them, they feel really fortunate. So I think that's why they did it. But listening to DeCosta last night, he said, never in a million years did I think Hamilton would be there for us at 14.
Bo Smolka covers the Ravens for Press Box. You can follow him on Twitter at the letter B, Smolka, B-S-M-O-L-K-A.
And Bo, you keep going to edge, and I just keep thinking one guy, Michigan's David Ojabo right there, would be perfect with the capital they have in the 4th round. If they feel like they got to go up a few spots, they've got the ability to do it. I don't know how they are on drafting somebody that's been injured, but I thought he might have been the best edge rusher out of Michigan entering the draft before the Achilles tear. I don't know what Baltimore thinks, but I think they could do a lot worse than going to Ojabo, don't you?
Well, I'll tell you what, Ojabo, the new Ravens defensive coordinator is Mike McDonald, who was Ojabo's coach in Michigan last year. So he's they know Ojabo really well, and I think they would love to get Ojabo. I think Ojabo, I think he's been I know he's been on their radar all along, and I think if he hadn't gotten hurt, he would have certainly been a first-round target for them. As I said, he played this past year. The Michigan defensive coordinator was Mike McDonald, who had spent like 8 years in Baltimore, went to Michigan, worked for Jim Harbaugh for a year as defensive coordinator. The Ravens shook up their defensive staff this offseason, and they brought McDonald back as the new defensive coordinator. They think is a really bright mind. He's only 34 years old, but he obviously worked with Ojabo this past year, and Ojabo thrived under him. So I think they would love to get Ojabo. I think it becomes a big gamble for the Ravens and for everyone to decide, how early do you pull that trigger, knowing you're probably missing most or all of this year with him. But I think they would be thrilled if they end up with Ojabo.
Okay, did it come up? The quarterback tweeting out WTF, and obviously there's a contract situation with him, and clearly he was not happy losing his close friend and number 1 threat. Did that come up at all?
You know what? It didn't come up in the press conference with DeCosta. DeCosta did say he and Harbaugh made a point of saying they talked to Lamar Jackson before the trade went down. Not necessarily to get his approval, but just to let him know that he goes, look, we respect Lamar Jackson. He's the leader in the locker room. When we do a situation like this, we're going to reach out to the players involved and to the people that make a difference. So they did talk to DeCosta stressed they talked to Lamar Jackson before the trade. It honestly didn't come up in the course of the news conference, that little tweet from Lamar Jackson. So he didn't answer that specifically, but he did say that he had talked to Jackson before the trade to kind of let him know where they were. And he said, DeCosta said, look, sometimes it's hard for players, but it's a business and they know that. And that's where we go and move forward. So Jackson was notified, But obviously, he's not going to have any kind of veto power over what Eric DaCosta does in building that roster.
Well, listen, we recommend a nap if you could fit it in. All right. Thanks for agreeing to do this. We really appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you. Take care.
Bo Smolka covers the Ravens for Pressbox. Follow him on Twitter, the letter B, Smolka, Smolka. Ravens, a mid-second, a mid-third, and then six fourth-round picks between picks 110 and 141. They have 6 of those 32 picks. So they have damn near the beginning and the end of the round and 4 in the middle.
It's worth just tuning in on Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon to see what the hell the Ravens are going to do.
Just welcome to the third day of the draft, or as we call it, Ravens Hour. They're a fascinating team. Remember, they were the 1 seed right around the 1st of December. And then Lamar got hurt, and the injuries on defense were piling up in a big way. And even though the backup came in and played pretty well, they kept losing really close games. I mean, what, Harbaugh 3 times went for 2 in the win? Back-to-back games against the Packers and Steelers. He went for 2 in the win in the final 30 seconds. I think he did it 3 times on the season. Came up snake eyes all 3 times. So if you're DaCosta, you're looking at your own team and you're trying to figure out, well, what are we? Are we a 1 seed if we're healthy? Or, I mean, and then you got Bo there who's like, they got need. Well, what are they?
And what's that division going to be? We don't know what Cleveland's going to be. We don't know what Pittsburgh's going to be. We don't really know what Cincinnati's going to be. I know they went to the Super Bowl. I get it.
They were a 10-7 regular season team. And every free agent move last year they hit on. You sure those guys can give you 2 years in a row? But so there you have it. A lot of draft talk with just a dash, a pinch of the NBA playoffs early in the show.
And a little pinch in the 8 o'clock hour because we went to Philly with Rob Ellis and had to give a little preview of a Sixers Heat series. But mostly it has been all draft all the time. We did talk a little NIL as well in the show with Isaiah Wong wanting a better deal, something that is more along the lines of an Elite 8 player, David.
Pay for play. Oh, I'm sorry, NIL. Right.
Oh, the slippery slope.
Bucks are on the clock. They're 33. It's Tampa, Minnesota, Tennessee, the Giants, and Houston. First 5 picks. Who, where, when do the quarterbacks start going? Miller and Moulton. Have a great rest of your day and weekend. The bonus hour is next on the Florida Sports Network. Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Mello, that is tremendous. That is awesome.
Just a threat, or not a threat, just a fact.
Right. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
You know, Mello, I can't not think of Carmelo Anthony when I think of your name. Is there any tie to it? I need to know.
Well, the funny thing is Debbie Dunleavy is the name of an anchor that I worked with in Scranton 35 years ago. And he's from Pennsylvania and is familiar with Scranton. So that's, it used to be Noreen Ziegler, which was the girl in high school that I always tried to date that I couldn't. Then it became Debbie Dunleavy.
So is this like a friend of yours?
Well, I know him.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, we've, communicated and what have you. So yes, exactly, Hops. I don't have a window. Mello with a nomination for best Twitch of all time. Let's see if I can go up and find it. I think I'm going to move my morning Twitch watching based on the value I provide. To stay, I need at least a daily mention of my name. I know my value, and this is not a threat, just a fact. In honor of the Miami NIL kid.
Very good. But I've already mentioned you, so you already got your
Oh, I know. But
that's very true.
So is Diane Berkowitz for you, Klecko?
Super random, but Sally Field is one of the best actresses of all time. I love Sally Field.
I will say, you are
Big
very
Smokey and the Bandit fan, are you?
You are very late to many a party.
No, I've always loved Sally Field, but
I've always loved it. I mean, since about 2014.
she's mama.
And she used to be cute.
She used to be.
And
She was the cute dish of the day with the Burt Reynolds movies all going on.
Yep. She was cute and perky before Katie Couric. I'm an asshole.
No, I think that's a pretty good line, actually. I didn't even think there was any a-hole to that.
So Mello has a lot in common with you, Philly. Did you see? About 15 years ago, my game, especially my D, was Carmelo-like, at least in my mind.
So you didn't play defense?
Right. Like we think you play defense.
No, I actually play defense.
Oh, my God almighty. You haven't played defense since you were in high school, okay? Pickup games are not real sports.
I'm telling you,
recreation.
some of the kids that pull up to that FGCU rec gym are really freaking good.
If they were really freaking good, they'd be playing college basketball.
I mean,
No.
it's a good point, but like,
No. It's not a good point. It's the only point.
I'm throwing lobs to some of them. I'm like, damn. Out here dunking on kids. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Shot clock's over.
Final hour. He needs a Snickers and a nap. Yep. Jotharian, 24-second timer's up.
It's up. No. It's up.
Come back.
No, it's.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour, final hour of our work week. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us on this Friday after the first round of the draft, but kind of an exciting second round second day, I should say, for many a local sports fan. Bucks with the first team on the clock, and they've got 2 second rounders, 33 and 60? Something like that.
Exactly right.
And then the Dolphins, who are actually they're scheduled anyway. They're scheduled. We don't know if they're going to show up at the party, but I think they have the third to last pick of the third round.
Fourth to last, but you're on there. 102. Only Kansas City, the Rams, and San Francisco will pick after them as we finish out day 2 of the draft.
We don't even know if they got the memo. Hopefully they got the date right on the memo. I mean, they may not even show up for this thing. They may wake up tomorrow and go, wait, what? We missed our pick?
And that to me is the irony of McVay laughing there when Cole Strange is picked by
The
Patriots. Because what the hell's he doing a presser last night anyhow?
Well, I don't think it was a presser. I think they were just doing like a live draft, almost like party. And they were just sitting there kind of watching it. McVay and the GM Snead, right? Isn't that who was sitting next to him? And so next thing you know, Cole Strange, guard Tennessee Chattanooga, comes off the board at 29 from Bill and the Patriots, who, remember, beat these guys at a Super Bowl 4 years ago. And they're laughing, going, man, oh man, once again, he knows something we don't. We were hoping to get that guy at 104. Bill takes him at 29.
And just laughing hysterically.
Right.
So that was one of the highlights of the draft. I mean, just the fact that they caught all of that and had it there for us was just fantastic.
I think the more of that you can get, the better, though. I really do. I think we need to regain a little bit of our sense of humor in life. And, so what? That may offend, who knows, Belichick and some Patriots fans. I don't know what to tell you. You can't please everybody. Let's stop trying, and let's stop canceling everybody if they say something that bothers you. Just go, well, I didn't like that, and move on. And the Rams are having fun. They just won the Super Bowl, for goodness sakes. They're still intoxicated.
Well, you could look at that a bunch of ways. They're laughing at them. I mean,
right.
Belichick may not even be, obviously he doesn't care, but they could be laughing at themselves going, well, we thought we could get this guy at 104.
Right.
He doesn't even get through the first round. How dumb are we? I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you could take that, because their laugh was not a laugh at any one laugh. They just were completely blown away. Like, holy crap. We thought we were getting this guy at the end of the third round with a compensatory pick, and he just went in the first round. What the hell just happened?
Just the 24th FCS player to go in the first round. There were 2 of them last night. Kid from Northern Iowa went as well.
Right. And that's 2 more than were Tennessee Volunteers taken in the first round of the draft.
Oh boy. Look at that.
FCS
Look at
2.
that.
Tennessee 0. When the SEC had how many first-round picks yesterday?
12.
12.
12. Well, and that does show what Josh has walked into also. Why most people thought he did a decent job last year. I mean, I don't like the offense. I think it's a junk offense, but they were a lot more competitive than people thought they would be. But let's see, along those lines, quickly off the top of our head. I mean, obviously 5 Georgia players taken, but of the 12 SEC, 5 came from Georgia, 2 came from Alabama. So that's 7 players in 2 schools.
Right.
All right. Cross came from Mississippi State. That's 8.
The Arkansas receiver.
That's 9. Elam, the cornerback from Florida, is 10.
Stingley from LSU.
11. And then, sure. Right. A&M.
That's right, the guard from A&M.
So there you go. So that's where the players
Kenyon
came
Green.
from in the SEC. So Ole Miss didn't have a first rounder. And that might be the only team in the West that didn't have a first rounder. And then obviously quite a few teams in the East didn't have a first rounder.
Yeah, most of them.
Well, not named Georgia and Florida.
But, as the 2 new additions, no Oklahoma kids taken, no Texas kids taken. Sure they want to let them in the conference?
Big 12 did not have a first-round pick, correct? And
no.
Now, the funny thing is,
new member of the Big 12, Cincinnati, had a pick.
Right. We said this in our Twitch broadcast last night. We just, for 10 seconds, we said, hey, a kid from Cincinnati just went 4th overall. And I don't know how much play that really got. Do you know there's the first rounder that's a Cincinnati Bearcat since 1971? And there was a chance for them to have 2 because of the quarterback, Ritter. And let's face it, that's also going to be a sexy part of the intrigue. Is somebody going to stumble upon their quarterback of the future and have this guy fall to them in the second round? Or is somebody going to make a major play up? Like, Mark, the teams that are drafting 33, 34, and 35 have all traded down to get those picks. So why wouldn't they, in theory, trade down again? Or will 1 or 2 of these teams actually take Willis, Ritter, Corral, or Howell?
I mean, you can't think the Bucs are taking a quarterback.
Probably not, even though obviously they need one of the future, and there has been no indication at all that Kyle Trask is the guy. There just hasn't been.
No, they're not ready for him to be the backup yet.
Right. To us, when they re-signed Gabbert, that showed us that they don't feel Trask is ready to move into the number 2 spot. Now, we could be reading that situation wrong, but that's how we're reading it.
But the Vikings and Titans could both take a quarterback there.
The Minnesota one would be interesting because remember, what did the new GM do? He extended Cousins for 1 more year, so they have him for this year and next, fully guaranteed, $34 million per.
Okay, when you're taking a quarterback in the second round, you're not expecting to start him.
But remember, when you take him in the second round, you only get 4 years.
I know.
Which means you're going to put him in there his 3rd year of a 4-year deal, having never played before.
And you're probably right.
But it at least is possible. And Tennessee, they can move on from Tannehill next year with the same cap hit that the Browns are taking for Mayfield this year. It's like 18-8 in dead money next year if Tennessee moves off of Tannehill. So does that mean they take a quarterback at 35, they groom him for a year, and then he's the guy? One would think if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Ritter, Vrabel, and Luke Fickell, the head coach at Cincinnati, were in each other's wedding. You would think they got a really good scouting report on them. Hey.
But unless someone moves, I don't believe the Giants are taking a quarterback at 36.
Well, They did just yesterday, which, by the way, was very interesting timing. It's one thing to pick up a guy's fifth-year option on the day of the draft. It's another thing to say you're not picking up your quarterback's fifth-year option 6 hours before the draft, which is what the Giants did, which, Mark, in theory, if you're willing to say Minnesota potentially,
Right.
the Giants, I mean, Daniel Jones has 1 year left on his contract, and Tyrod Taylor's just a quality backup signing. They don't ever want him to start games for him.
So you're right. The Giants are a possibility. I don't think Houston is. I don't think the Jets are. Chicago's not. Seattle certainly is at 40 and 41.
Yes. But so you would think, though, most of these teams before Seattle are probably not quarterback. So you've got 33 through 39. You have 7 opportunities. If you're out there and you want one of these 2 or 3 or 4 quarterbacks, you got to think, well, we got to move up before Seattle.
By the way, just a quick side note, Tulsa, 1 first-round pick. Oklahoma, 0 first-round picks.
Right. Central Michigan. Oh, no, that's right. He didn't get drafted.
He's one of the high ones on the board right now.
Right. FCS 2, Big 12, nothing.
Crazy.
Yeah. Although I still don't think it's as good a stat as number of first-round picks in the state of Tennessee. Vanderbilt, none. Tennessee, none. Tennessee, Chattanooga, 1. That's rich.
It really is.
That is rich. I mean, hell, we could even throw Memphis on the board.
Well, and I'm looking at this.
For
I'm just looking until when the Iowa State running back gets taken. That's the highest rated Big 12 player I have. He and a safety from Baylor. I mean, they'll get a few in the second round. Although remember, Pat's big guy, the Oklahoma D tackle, Perry and Winfrey.
Right.
That Pat was raving about on Tuesday.
So second round begins a little earlier tonight, scheduled to start an hour earlier, 7 o'clock.
And they get at it pretty quickly tonight.
And they don't have nearly as much time in between picks. So got to get going.
But when do the quarterbacks go?
What do the Bucks do? Bucks have needs, man.
Yes.
They could use a guard, a plug-and-play guard. And they could use another member of the secondary. They could probably use a number 2 running back, since Fournette's really the only one they want to depend on the roster.
They could, but boy, with Booth, the Clemson corner there, they need a D back. This guy had thought to be a first-round pick.
And it's not a position of need yet. Might be in a year or so. You sure you don't go to Kobe Dean? And the one guy's about to start his 10th year in the league. Just saying. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The Eagles won Super Bowl 52, right?
Oh boy. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. I knew it.
Juancho, I thought they had to go offensive line, but I will say them passing on Jermaine Johnson is interesting. The Cowboys at 24. Because when they were I'll bet you there wasn't one mock draft where they thought Jermaine Johnson would be there at 24. Kind of looks something up here. I mean, Levante David is 32. He's 32 years old. He's been a great player, not a good player. He's been a great player. He's played 10 years at linebacker as a sideline to sideline linebacker. He's missed 2, 5, 7. He's missed 12 games in 10 years, and 5 of them were last year. Well, I'll say this, fam. Mechie will be there for the Packers at both 53 and 59, I think. So they might be able to come out of this with John Mechie. That'll work. Aaron would like him. It wouldn't shock me if that Sky, what's his name? That slot receiver, he's little. Wouldn't shock me if he's available. Well, he may ditch. Logic Man, they're going to try to move Whiteside to tight end. Why not? You got nothing to lose. You could always cut him. I think they are going to bail on Rigor. It wouldn't shock me if he's a final cut at the end of training camp. I don't think Pickens will be there at 53 and 59. I saw a lot of Pickens around 40 to 43. So, Sky Moore, thanks. Like, I think Sky Moore might be there. I think Mechie will be there. I mean, you're the Green Bay GM. You got 2 2s, a 3, and 2 4s. You also got 3 7s if you just want to move up a spot here or a spot there and you just want to give somebody a little something, something. Man, what is going on at my house?
Oh, whoops. Hey, Mario down the hall said she likes the mustache.
What?
Maria down the hall says she likes my mustache.
Who?
Maria, the one right there.
Oh, got it. The one we say hi to every day and didn't know her name.
Maria, that's her name.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Today was the day when, good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Final thoughts. All 20 minutes away. Miss any part of the show? That's what floridasportsnetwork.com is for. Also, you can look up our Twitch archive if you want to watch our draft show from last night. It was moderately entertaining, if we do say so ourselves. Never too late to sign up for, subscribe, follow Miller and Moulton on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton.
You know, we mentioned this yesterday. One of the areas of weakness of the show is not just getting poll questions out. It's poll questions in general.
Correct.
There's a Miami site, 5 Reasons Sports, that I follow. They do a pretty good job of covering Miami things. They ask this question for a poll question. I will ask you the question because I liked it, David. Who will have the bigger impact? Tyreek Hill with the Dolphins or A.J. Brown with the Eagles?
Ooh.
I was gonna ask that question.
Of course you
promise.
were. We've been doing the show for 3 hours and 22 minutes, and right after I read it, you had that question.
No, it's because I thought about it last night, but I forgot to ask it, and I feel disappointed in myself. And I was like, "Oh, that's
I feel disappointed in you as well."
I'm disappointed.
All right. Nobody thinks that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Tua. I'm sorry. They don't. And here's my thinking. Because you all saw it play out on Saturdays. Hurts got benched for Tua, and nobody went, "What the hell is Nick Saban doing? Why is he playing Tua over Hurts?" Wasn't one of you that said that. Not one. None of you at any point in time when Hurts was drafted 50th overall and Tua was drafted 5th, none of you said out loud or anybody next to you, "I can't believe they took Tua. I like Hurts better." So don't tell me you think Jalen Hurts is better than Tua. You don't. Now, you may not be all that fond of Tua. Well, then that means you ain't all that fond of Jalen Hurts.
Absolutely.
I think they're on the same level.
Well, and that's fine. I don't. I think one's much better. But if you say they're on the same level, so now you're looking at weapons around them, what kind of offense, that sort of deal. If you think they're on the same level, that's a difficult question to answer as a poll question. If you think one quarterback is better than the other, it should then be a much easier answer.
It is. The other part of this, though, is if they move on from Jalen Hurts and get the right quarterback the next year, could A.J. Brown at the end win this whole sucker?
Now, I just thought this was a 2022 question, or is this from now till the end of time?
It was just
who's going to be a bigger impact?
Who's going to have a bigger impact? They didn't say it on the season, but you're right. If it's on the season, it's tough for me to not go Hill because I think the quarterback he has is better.
Now, Brown is younger, and he's bigger and more physical. Hill is faster. It's also fascinating. Brown and Hill become the number 1 wide receivers on their team, and the number 2 wide receivers are a pair of Alabama wide receivers in Smith and Waddle. Listen, you may not like the Dolphins. they're going to be a handful on offense next year. I mean, think about some of the players who are never going to see a double team. Jalen Waddle may never see a double team. The tight end may never see a double team again. He's seen them for 2 years, and he still caught a ton of balls in traffic and took a beating. He ain't going to get double teamed again. Maybe in the red zone if someone's creative. Maybe.
They are going to be, at the very least, an interesting football team.
Yes. They should move the ball. Unless the offensive line still sucks.
Well, there's always that.
Yes.
But the offense it's the offense that the Dolphin fan has basically said they've wanted.
No, absolutely.
They want the ball in the air.
Yeah.
They want weapons. They want excitement. They've been asking for it for a long, long time. And this is, at least on paper, is as close as they've come since you and I have been in this market to providing the Dolphin fan from an offensive standpoint of what they want.
Yeah. I mean, Dolphin fan prefers Marino to Duper and Clayton. Let's go.
And on the subject of O-line, we need an O-line? Teron Armstead. That's a good start.
Well, it is. Got to stay healthy. Big man,
Yes.
big money, needs to stay healthy. Very important player. Very important player. A couple of other things that are out there. I know that there's something that we wanted to get in the show today. You know, we're hockey guys.
Oh, Rick Jeanneret, the longtime Buffalo Sabres play-by-play voice, is calling his last game tonight. A monstrous career. When did he start?
Thought he started.
I want to say this is a 40-year career.
I think it's even
40
longer,
plus.
but I'm trying to remember, did he do their 75 finals against the Flyers? But
51 years.
yeah, I think he's damn near done every game. It's a remarkable career.
And a peculiar voice.
Yep.
That probably wouldn't get a job today.
Oh, no. No. You know, Berman, Cosell, the Rick Jeanneretts of the world, Mike Langs of the world. No, absolutely not. Wouldn't get hired. They're only legends. Wouldn't get hired.
So congratulations on a great career, a great voice, and a unique broadcaster that brought it every damn night.
And let's hope sometime soon a great hockey market is rewarded with at least a decent franchise. I will say in the second half of the year, they played a lot better.
But they're nowhere close.
They're probably where the Wings were
2 years ago?
I was hoping to say a year ago, but you're
I
probably
don't think
right.
so.
It's 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Particularly how loaded the East is. But wanted to mention Rick Jeanneret.
And so, last game tonight for the longtime Sabres announcer.
Something earlier in the week that we missed, UCF and Cincinnati both raising their hand a couple days ago and saying, yeah, we're final year in the American. We're joining the Big 12 for the 2023 football season. Now, doesn't mean Oklahoma and Texas are leaving, by the way. They could be joining the Big 12 and actually play Oklahoma and Texas for 1 to 2 years. But it's just
who gets the home games. Texas has been to UCF, right? Did they come there right after the bounce house opened?
I believe so. I believe they did.
In fact, that was, I thought, the first big get for UCF with the stadium opening.
So it would be pretty cool, you know, before they leave for the SEC, if UCF could get one or both of them to come to town. That'd be cool. That'd help season ticket sales a bit.
Texas and Oklahoma are going to love having to play them before they go to the SEC.
Especially since they might lose.
Exactly.
Face Gus in that offense and be like, come on. And you saw that college football is going to go widespread with betting information.
They're basically going to allow the betting companies to do deals with the colleges. So that translates to not only are they going to be getting money, it seems that there's going to be more information passed both ways, which to get information out of a college coach, I'll be very curious to see how this works out, because I don't think these big, huge gambling companies are going to do big deals with colleges without something in return, David.
Well, I don't think these big gambling companies know who they're dealing with. The TV networks throw tens of millions of dollars at these colleges, and they don't give the TV networks covering their games squat.
But now the collegiate schools can get in bed with the gambling companies, just like the pro sports can.
Let me tell you, I think that information is going to be dubious at best and few and far between.
Miller and Moulton, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when, and what's on tap coming up next.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know why? Because it's going to be a huge fucking lead-in. Because you're following the draft. Okay, and we're paying you $8 million.
I don't get. I mean, look at what Greenberg. Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him, but what he pulls off is beyond me.
You know, I don't know what to tell you, man.
I mean, this is Tirico-esque when he was hosting that afternoon show that he didn't do. And he ain't going to be on the radio either.
No. Which I'm fine with today. I am. I mean,
but I mean,
they don't care about the radio anymore.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, that's a big dude. That's a big dude.
So we might have tackled this already when Bo was on, but how do the Ravens expect to have good wide receivers when they just traded away their best one?
Well, first off, it's an offense that's not based around wide receivers. It's an offense that's based around a running quarterback and a running game, but they're going to have to just find them. And it's the only thing that they have failed at since moving to Baltimore. They have been consistently unable to get the wide receiver position right, except when they traded for Steve Smith.
They just pulled up a graphic that Hollywood Brown this year was the first Ravens wide receiver to have 1,000 yards in a season since Mike Wallace in 2016.
Right.
It's crazy.
But in part because who took over the offense shortly after that?
Lamar Jackson.
There you go. here's also part of the problem. Like Sammy went there, but a lot of receivers don't want to go to that offense. You got to block in that offense a lot.
Is he still there, Sammy Watkins?
He just
No.
got there. Or no?
No, he went to
No, he signed with Kansas City.
Green Bay.
Green Bay, sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You think Mike Evans would thrive in that offense?
I think Christian Watson would do really well in that offense because it's run, play action fake, run a post.
And they still have Mark Andrews.
It's tough to keep counting on Mark Andrews. He's not healthy all the time.
He's not getting younger.
He's good when he's healthy, but I saw him play against the Packers. He was a man last year in that game. Just a man. Right, but think about how long Bolden was. Bolden played on that 2012 team that won the Super Bowl.
You think Dobbins wins that RB1 job?
He better.
I mean, they drafted him high for a reason.
But yeah, they picked up Bolden and they picked up Steve Smith. And those two moves worked out for them. But, man, they have not had a ton of success drafting wideouts. And they've tried.
So, Dallas sports talk guy Bob Strum.
Yeah.
You see the story?
The thing, if they take him, I'll
retire. I'll
retire. Isn't he retiring? Or no?
Come back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Just one NBA playoff game tonight. All the other series are wrapped up in the first round. Memphis at Minnesota. T-Wolves going to try to win 6 games in the 7-game series, Mark.
It is really hard to do. Don't give a team 4 outs and don't give a team 2 wins.
I mean, tonight they're going to try to win their 5th game in a 7-game series just to force a game 7. Man, oh man, T-Wolves have already blown 2 pretty big leads, double-digit leads heading into the 4th quarter. In the same series, it's been a long time since that's done. But trying to force a game 7 tonight. T-Wolves at home, and they're a 1-point dog. Got the same road favorite thing going on tonight we had last night. And all 3 road favorites won and covered last night.
I have no idea in this series.
I think T-Wolves force a game 7.
I think you're probably right because I've considered them dead after they blew the first lead.
So we shall see. But final night of the NHL regular season tonight.
About time.
And some have wondered in our Twitch chat room, why is the season going so late? Because normally the NBA and the NHL playoffs start within 48 hours of each other. It's because of the Olympics. And I know you're going, wait a minute. The NHL didn't send players to the Olympics. We know, but the plan was they were going to. So they put the schedule together with a nice big 2.5 week Olympic break. And once they didn't send the players to the Olympics, they looked at one another and said, what are we going to do about the break?
And then they filled in as many of the COVID games as they could.
And many of the arenas booked, concerts and whatever they booked. They're like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. We can't play the Blackhawks and the Wings back-to-back next week. Arena's sold.
But hockey playoffs finally start next week.
Yeah, Monday. NHL playoffs. So a weekend without hockey except for one makeup game north of the border. But final game of the regular season tonight. Seeding is the only thing at stake. The 16 playoff teams have been determined, but who's going to have home ice in some second and third place series? And the wild cards are up for grabs. Like, will Washington or Pittsburgh be a wild card? Will Tampa or Boston be a wild card in the East? And that's significant. Same thing in the West, Nashville or Dallas, which one will be first wild card, which one will be second, stuff like that. That's what's up for grabs tonight.
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
I don't have a ton of stuff today.
Okay.
So there may be some omissions.
If there were, I'm going to have a tough time finding them today, David.
Especially since your eyes are closing on me as we do the show. But I will say today in 1945, the German army in Italy surrendered unconditionally. And, this thing wrapped up here within like the next 24 to 48 hours back in 45. Mark, ABC's Wide World of Sports debuted on this day in 1961. It was not the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat,
No.
I don't believe.
No, that's a while
immediately.
before they get going with that.
Because didn't
That's a color. They started Wild World Sports in black and white. I think that was the 70s that crash happened.
Yeah, I thought it was 1970. The downhill skier kind of fell off the ramp and, it became the agony of defeat. And so I think they were about 10 years in before they put all of that together. But Mark, 1967, Aretha releases Respect. Do you know who wrote it?
Well, Otis Redding did it first. I would then go with Otis Redding.
There you go.
Did you guys watch that Aretha Franklin movie that they made?
I have not yet.
It is so good. You should watch it.
Thank you.
I will say, I do enjoy the joy in his face when he is opening himself up to all of the stuff that happened in the 20th century.
Correct.
Because he is a 21st century child. And so, and just behind the curtain, another reason why you really should, check it out. Miller and Moulton on twitch.tv, because Felipe's really good for going, hey, did you know Laverne and Shirley? Things like that he's discovered. And we look at him like, you know, we've been alive for it.
Right. We're old.
Right. Yeah. He's like, wow, that's amazing. He was dancing to the Barney Miller theme earlier in the show because we turned him on to it.
Yeah, for reference, yesterday I think I asked you guys if you listened to Luther Vandross.
And Mark doesn't know whether to howl or walk into the other room and strangle him.
No, those stuff I just no, never. We've never heard of him.
No, wow. Is he
Thanks
any
for
good?
that. I'll download something later.
Is he any good? It was on this day in 75, the fall of Saigon. And it ended our U.S. involvement in Vietnam. Mark, on this day in 1980, Billy Sims goes number 1 overall to the Lions.
Oh, I was going to tell you, the fall of Saigon. Do you know that American Service Radio played White Christmas as a signal for American personnel to evacuate?
That I did not know.
Thought that was an interesting little tidbit.
Crosby's version?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there another?
Well, there is. And we let the 2 Sirius XM channels battle it out. Billy Sims, number 1 overall to the Lions on this day in 1980. 1981, Steve Carlton records his 3,000th strikeout. That's one of those numbers for a pitcher, which used to mean automatic induction into the Hall of Fame. And at the time, Mark, he was the first left-handed pitcher to ever strike out 3,000. So not Spahn, not Koufax, not Babe Ruth. Nope. Mm-mm. Also on the same day, Mark, 1981, George Rogers goes number 1 overall to the Saints. The Giants waste 14 seconds getting the card up for Lawrence Taylor, who went 2. Roger Clemens on this day, 36 years ago, 1986, struck out 20 Seattle Mariners. No one had done that before. 19 had been the longtime record. Carlton, Seaver, and a few others. Same day, Mark, that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers picked Bo Jackson number 1 overall. Never played for him.
Never played.
Nope. Said, I'll play baseball instead. I'm good. And this isn't a threat. This isn't a Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray empty threat. This was Bo said, no, I'll go to the Royals. I'll make all-star teams. So I'll play baseball. I'll be fine. And, 86 is still when these 2 sports are 1 and 1A, which is difficult to remember now, but they really were. Baseball was making the claim they were most popular. Football was right there. And so when Bo said he was going to play baseball, now people would go, what in the world?
We did with Kyler Murray.
Right. 2 years later in 88, the Orioles snapped that 21-game losing streak. On this day in 88, they beat the White Sox 9-0. 1990, wrecking crews begin tearing down the Berlin Wall at the Brandenburg Gate 32 years ago. Remember, nightly news is there and all that. 30 years ago today, those of us of a certain age remember, it was the Rodney King verdict, which led to the Rodney King riots 30 years ago today. 16 years ago today, Mario Williams goes number 1 overall by the Houston Texans. And people couldn't believe they didn't take Reggie Bush. George Allen, Dale Earnhardt, Duke Ellington, Hirohito, all born on this day. Hirohito, the leader of Japan, the emperor of Japan, for a mere 63 years.
It's a great title.
Emperor?
Emperor's better than king.
Better than president?
Oh, goodness.
That could be a poll question. President, king, emperor.
Well, I like it. Maybe we'll have to remember that.
Dale Earnhardt would have been 71 today. Louis Aparicio, Jim Hart. Louis Aparicio is 88 today. Jim Hart is 78. Johnny Miller is 75. Mike Babcock is 59. Think he'll ever coach again?
Yes.
You think somebody will hire him? Well, it's the right sport, goodness knows. Andre Agassi is 52. That's a dig in the side for me. I was a big Agassi fan.
I know, just we're basically the same age. So
I know.
It's one that.
Jake Cutler's 39. JT, and I don't mean Timberlake, I mean Justin Thomas.
Right.
29.
Sounds about right.
Michelle Pfeiffer, 64. Uma Thurman, 52. Jerry Seinfeld, 68.
His wife's 22. Oh.
Come on now. He is a young-looking 68, though. You got to give him that.
Well, that's the way you can marry the young women.
Daniel Day-Lewis is 65. Eve Plum, you know her as Jan Brady, is 64. And Master P is 52. And that is Today Was a Day.
David, just one omission. Willie Nelson's 89 today.
Is he really? Wow.
I thought you'd have that one. It was a backup.
It's only the lead. Wait a minute. You mean I didn't talk about the draft? Damn. By the way, what would the over-under have been? Let's go back mid-'80s when Willie is...
We got Willie and Waylon running around.
And they're 50 to 52. They are what you are now. And what are we putting the over-under at for Willie Nelson?
75.
Oh, and I would have emptied my bank accounts betting the under. 89.
1933.
How about that?
Wow.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Right to Lee County for the good. And to all of you in Lee County, if you did this, good for you. The Harry Chapin Food Bank had their Donated Not Wasted food campaign. They were trying to collect 5,000 pounds. They doubled that. So to all of you that donated, the Harry Chapin Food Bank does an amazing job. Terrific people and do a wonderful job. So if you didn't donate, you can still donate because there's still need. For the bad, we go to Fort Myers Beach, where just going out for a walk, Lois Jenkins, just strolling down San Carlos Boulevard at 74 years old in the morning when she was hit and knocked to the ground by an electric-powered bike on the sidewalk. Biker took off. He's still MIA.
What?
Oh, yeah. Because that's what we need is more motorized bikes on the sidewalks.
How can you hit somebody and keep going? On a bike also. I mean, like, maybe it's possible you graze somebody with a car and, like, you actually don't know it because you don't feel it. I find that hard to believe, but I guess it's possible. But I mean, come on, you're driving a bike, you hit somebody, you don't know you hit them.
Finally, the ugly, we go to Alabama in Escambia County, where people are on the lookout for a theft. There are photos of a female driving her lawnmower with a trailer attached. The trailer was stolen, but more importantly, inside the trailer, one of the items that was stolen is a University of Alabama yard sign. If you have seen this woman, please report her to the authorities. Alabama fans find her at least dangerous.
My question is, if she were to somehow, some way leave the Alabama yard sign and keep going, would they still go after her?
Not a chance. And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Roll Tide. April the 29th, 2022.
Drafts at 7 o'clock tonight. Bucks are on the clock. Who takes the next quarterback?
David, if it's not the Titans, I'll be a little upset.
He's going to be upset at me. I'm going to, let's see. The Titans are what? Are they fourth on the clock? All right. Third,
I believe.
Okay, so let's see. 7. It'll start. If I get a phone call before 7:30 from you, it's going to be they didn't take Ritter, and you're going to yell at me. Be like, I had to listen to you for a month.
I know that they're going to take.
Fickle was in his wedding. Come on. Miller and Moulton. Remember, the Jags traded out of the second round for that extra first-round pick, so they'll be first pick of the third round, and Dolphins are picking really, really late tonight.
But the Bucs with a couple of picks, pay attention to them early, see what Tampa does tonight in the draft. The Grizzlies are a 1.5-point favorite tonight at the T-Wolves in Game 6.
I think Seattle takes a quarterback at either 40 or 41.
I agree.
I think Minnesota wins tonight.
Do as well. I think we'll see a Game 7. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training.